It being 5:00 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of November 27, 2018 is hereby called to order. Ms. Carleen, can you do roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Jones. Ms. Posito.
Here.
Mr. Grow. Mr. Melvin. Mr. Jacuzo. Mr. Perilou. Mr. Otan. Mr. Lafont. Mr. Lorraine. And Mr. Cantrell.
Councilman Perilou will do the invocation, and Councilman Jones will lead us in the pledge.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A, approval of the minutes. Ms. Carleen?
We need to defer every step until the December 11th meeting, please.
Can I get a motion to defer items 1 through 11 until December 11th? Moved by Jones, second by Grow. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Items deferred to December 11th. B, presentations and/or updates.
Nothing.
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 C, legal advisory report, nothing. D, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, etc.
Not at this time.
Nothing at this time. E, architects, engineer reports, engineer-architect reports.
I think anyone's here.
Anyone here? Nope. Okay.
All right, let's have fun.
Letter F, 2019 budget amendments. Number 12, amendments to the 2019 operation and maintenance and capital budget as follows. Amendment number 1 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget, moved by Jones. Can I get a second by Grow. Provide funding for the Waverly Subdivision Pump Project, 001-General Fund Executive Department, 00141502. Decrease in salaries and wages, 00141502-411000 in the amount of $47,436. Decrease in employee benefits, 00141502-422000 in the amount of $3,628.85. Increase in miscellaneous, 00149100-483299 in the amount of $51,064.85. 001 General Fund decrease in miscellaneous, 00149100-483130 in the amount of $12,735. Increase in miscellaneous, 00149100-483299 in the amount of $12,735. 130 Head Start, decrease in salaries and wages, 1304450041100 admin in the amount of $12,735. Decrease in other revenues, 1303991-391001 in the amount of $12,735. 14-OCA General Fund, decrease in salaries and wages, 1424400-411000 in the amount of $111,155.72. Decrease in employee benefits, 1424400-42100 in the amount of $22,432.75. Decrease in employee benefits, 1424400-42200 in the amount of $8,503.41. Decrease in employee benefits, 1424400-42300 in the amount of $4,481.68. Decrease in employee benefits, 142-44400-426000, in the amount of $666.93. Decrease in other revenues, 142-391-391108, in the amount of $126,000. 108 royalty fund. Decrease in miscellaneous, 1084800-483-142, in the amount of $126,000. Increase in miscellaneous, 1084800-483-299, in the amount of $136,200.15. 299 capital project, increase in other revenue, 299391-391001, in the amount of $63,799.85. Increase in other revenue, 299-391-391108, in the amount of $136,200.15. Increase in capital outlay, 299-00100-478000, in the amount of $200,000. That was moved by Jones, and it was seconded by Grow. Any discussion? Any discussion? Oh, Mr. Melvin.
Yeah, Mr. Jones, I was concerned as we spoke about Head Start, decrease in salaries. I know that they were trying to increase the salary for possibly a new administrator, and this is coming from there, but I know that they're not the largest department in the parish, but compared to what other department heads make, Head Start isn't too high, and I wanted you to maybe explain to me how this is going to affect it or could affect it with that 12,000 coming out of there.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Bill Melvin, I took the money from other revenue, $183,000 the parish put in the budget, $12,735 that came from Head Start. 126 came from community action. 51, whatever came from executive side. That's for the purchase of a pump at Waverly, which I'm pretty sure that's going to be 1,000+ homes that's affected by that. So when you compare, you want to increase a salary or look for a director for $12,735 compared to 1,000 homes, it's not compatible.
Mr. Perilou?
Yeah, Jerry, I just had a question on the historic value of this pump station. Has it ever come down like as a request of a capital project or anything like that, or is this something new you're trying to get done?
Well, I've been requesting that for a couple of years, and also, Ms. Lucy, we got a lot of flooding in that area, and we got to try to find something to resolve the problem. And capital project, yes, indeed a capital project. So.
But we haven't been able to secure it as a capital project? That's my question. I mean, why?
No, we hadn't, because this is the first time we ever approaching this problem, putting money in for the pump.
Okay, and tell me, I know we had some discussions about like some leftover capital outlay money from another project that was, I guess we discussed that could be used on your project. Is this related to that, or is this different? Is this separate?
No, that's separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you still have that other funding available to you for that same region as far as getting the flooding issues
Yes,
resolved?
that's on different side of the bayou.
Okay.
Totally
All right.
different.
Thank you, Jerry.
Mr. Otan?
Yeah, so like Bo, to have all these decreases and pulling from all these different funds, I don't necessarily agree with. My question would be to James, I mean, we discussed this, Corey, we discussed this last year at length, we looked at pictures, I Google it. And as I recall, we were gonna try to take some steps forward and looking at a pump station. I mean, I don't know if Mr. James Barnes could, is there anything in process right now, any other funding source, towards this project? I know we discussed it at length, about the drainage and rerouting the drainage there. Is there anything currently in the works?
Mr. Barnes? Is that question for Mr. Barnes or Mr. Cantrell?
Yeah, Mr. Barnes, since I know we had discussed this previously.
Go ahead, James.
Let's see if I got a light. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We've discussed this, and, but this is the first time that we've been able to, trying to get something as far as capital outlay project money. I don't, you know, I know we discussed the pump, 2 or 3 times. Don't have any numbers or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's basically a new project.
Yes, it'd be.
Do you have any idea where we could go after for a funding source for this, i.e. the North Lafourche levy and drainage district, et cetera? I mean, have they been involved in this at all?
No, I've not discussed it with them, not yet.
They could potentially-
I have a meeting with them December the 3rd.
As Mr. Jones said, I mean, this is affecting 1,000 homes. Sounds like something that North Lafourche levy district would have
Wow.
an interest in.
I'll put it on my list to talk to Dwayne about.
Mr. Jones?
Just that North Lafourche, this is in the subdivision. I don't think North Lafourche can go and in that subdivision and I'm thinking North Lafourche's main canals.
They've done some big drainage work in the town of Lockport on down some streets.
Yeah, we need this as soon as possible. I mean, Lucy can tell you, we've been walking this and flooding, people flooding bad in that area. We had a town hall meeting May 7th. Nothing has been done yet. It's the first approach that I'm taking to do something for the people in my area. And I sure hope you support this amendment for $12,735. And I know it's a lot of increase, but it's a lot of increase in the budget. So that's where you take the money from.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, it's just coming from a lot of areas that I'm not particularly crazy about taking from, which is why I wanted to engage James about what other funding sources it could be.
Which
I'm in
area?
favor of your project, but
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of yanking all these monies from these different little departments.
What department you talking about?
Well, the entire amount that you have, all these different little fund items.
Yeah, but different departments. That's to secure the money for the project. No?
No,
So what department are you talking about mainly? $12,735?
It's not the only amount that's.
No, the
it's-
other one is coming from executive, a raise for $36,000 plus benefit.
Salaries, wages, employee benefits.
Yeah.
Head Start, general fund, executive, salaries and raises, and the one down below, which is pretty significant. My royalty, anyway, there's a whole bunch of things in here, Jerry, and what I'm saying is, I support your project, but I think we need to look at another funding source versus affecting all these different locations it's coming from.
No, but this money came out of royalties, so you gotta decrease the increase and put it back in royalty and then go to your project. I mean, that's the proper channel.
I hate to hurt these other departments.
What departments we heard?
And we just talked about, we want to talk about one in particular, Head Start.
Head Start, $12,735.
That's right, and I don't particularly think it's fair to penalize that department, not for this funding source.
That came from the general fund, Looney. That's not coming out of their money. It came from the general fund.
I understand that, but it still affects that department. It still affects that department. That doesn't change the effect. What I'm saying is, I don't think to me, and which is the reason I asked for James, is I think we need to explore, because this has been a discussion that started last year. Our first year, there wasn't a whole lot of talk about the pump station. In the last 3 or 4 months, we've really started talking about the need maybe for a pump station there. Of course, there's a lot of legwork on where it's gonna discharge. There's a lot of other work that still has to go along with that. So I think we're still a good ways away. And once again, I'm just.
This pump station here, we're not a good ways away, Looney. I can tell you, this pump station will be designed just like the one on West Camellia. And it's well within its budget. And I need it. I need this pump station.
I don't disagree with that.
Mr. Melvin?
Jerry, I think out of everybody on this council, I support the pump station, because Lord knows I lost mine, and I hated to lose it, and I know what that's like, and I didn't like it. I just, again, Head Start employs 75 people in the parish, and they do a lot of good things, and I know this is directly affecting the Head Start person. They're looking to maybe hire in a year or so, whenever this Miss Vicky retires, and to get somebody competitive in there to run it, to help write the grant, I think, you know, we don't want to turn that into community action mess like we got now with community action. That's my concern. I'm all for pump stations. I'm all for pump stations. Again, I'm just very concerned that, you know, I mean, I don't think 54,000 is a lot to pay a director in the parish for for the fifth largest, you know, division or, you know, department in the parish.
Whether it's the largest department or not, Bo, 183,000 coming out of the general fund. How much money did Head Start return to the general fund last year? How much money did they return?
Every year they do return some money.
How much did they return?
I wouldn't know the exact dollar amount, but.
What are we talking about? $12,735 here. You talking about employing 75 people, hiring a director, and I'm talking about 2,000 people flooding.
Right, I agree.
It's not a comparison, Bo.
No, when is the project, like Corey was asking, when is the project set to take off? Or when would you see, maybe in a year? 6 months?
2019.
Okay.
It don't take long to put these type of pumps.
Mr. Lafont?
I wasn't gonna say anything, but then when we started talking about taking money for a Head Start, director, my question is, at one time, we had one director, and then we have one now, but then we had an assistant. She's not working for the parish no more. What happened to that money that we were paying her?
Ms. Vicky, you want to step and at least explain, or if you don't have to, but I think that Ms. Martha, I don't think is an assistant anymore, and that's money that could be applied towards,
Ms. Vicky, you want to come and explain something? And then, Mr. Cantrell, I'll give you a chance to explain why you would or would not want this to happen. So I don't know if you're prepared to do that, but I'm hoping that you can give us some explanations. Ms. Vicky, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Vicki Adams, 305 Ami, Thibodeau. Mr. Jerry,
Speak into the mic.
that's where the money was coming from, was the salary for the assistant director was eliminated with the 2019 budget. So that's.
So the whole salary for the assistant director, but how long did she stay on? 2 years? How long you been here?
Yeah, I've been here 3.5. She was here 2.5. Yeah, she left during the summer.
Yeah, and it was only supposed to be a short time to train you, I think, and then it continued on. I think we could have saved a lot of money right there during that time.
Well, but that's where the money for the proposed new money for the director was coming from.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So, could you stay there a minute? Go ahead, Mr. Lafont.
Another thing, I saw raises or whatever on here and a couple of them, I'm just gonna say this. I can't even believe, and look, I know we got some good workers for the parish, but it's hard to believe that we're gonna be giving raises when 2 weeks ago we were trying to pass a tax on the people of Lafourche Parish because of his budget, we didn't have enough money. I have a hard time doing that, and look, I know we got some great workers, but
Do you want to wait till we get to that item before, because we're kind of jumping around, we need to
I
finish this
thought we had
one
a
up?
raise in here, it just goes with that. So, okay, I'll wait, yeah. There's a raise on
Yeah,
here.
it is a raise.
Is there a
in there.
raise? Well, go
There's a
ahead.
raise on here, 36,000.
Oh, no,
So,
that was Mr. Jimmy's raise, right?
I guess, I'm not sure.
Mr.
Yes,
Jones,
yes.
that was the raise Mr. Jimmy was given
Right.
to himself? Okay.
So I just have just knowing that the people voted down the tax, we went to them and told them that the parish was broke. We didn't have money, we didn't know how we was gonna operate garbage. We found the money for the garbage, and now we got money to give raises. I just have a hard time with that, and I think the general public's gonna have a hard time with that. And also, I'm, what Mr. Jones said a little while ago, look, I'd love to give somebody a directed road money, but if you can protect 2,000 residents from flooding and the 12,000 helps out, I'm all for it.
So do you have any, Mr. Jones, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, do you have anything, if this amendment goes through as is, do you want to comment on what happens, or does Mr. Jimmy want to comment on if this puts a hardship, or what then does
Well-
the department look like?
Mr. Jerry was correct, and Mr. Bowe was correct. We do give money back every year. You give us money because it's a grant that's 80% funded through the federal government and 20% funded from the parish. So we do in-kind. When the men from the barn work with us, that's considered in-kind. But this money that you also, the $183,000 minus the $12,000 that you were talking about, becomes our cush. It goes for insurance, but it helps us if something would ever happen that we didn't make the in-kind. Every year we make the in-kind. So the money that's the difference, we always return to the parish because we're good employees. So, we budget, we don't expend monies that we don't need to. But when you're getting ready to hire a new director with accountability, and because we're different, you need someone that knows education. You need somebody that has a master's, that knows finance, that's been a supervisor. And because she's not going to, or he's not going to have any additional help, that's where the money was coming from. So.
Mr. Jones?
So if it's just monies that, from the parish, yes, we'll be fine. Because we would never pay a salary out of parish money. It's always paid through federal funds.
Right.
Okay,
That's the question I was gonna ask you.
okay.
Can you say that again?
None of the salaries in Head Start come out of parish funds. They're all paid through federal monies. So if the director was paid an additional $12,000, it would be out of federal funds. It wouldn't be parish monies.
So where is this money coming, where is this money, if it's not being pulled from salaries, what is the department going to do without, if this money's pulled?
Hopefully, we'll be okay. Hopefully, it'll be like next year, and we look at you and we say, we didn't need the extra in-kind money, insurance didn't go up, we're fine, and we'll return whatever we need that's left. And I don't remember what it's usually 50, I'm looking at Carol, but I think in the past, I think last year it was about 60,000 returned. This year it's probably 50, I don't know exactly because Sonia's not here, but let's say it's 50,000.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
And that's what I was gonna say. The money, they get paid out of federal funds. The money is out of other revenues in the general fund. It was just hitting all over the budget for salary-wise, but it's actually other revenues. And that's where I took the $12,735 from.
So it's going to come out of the parish's contribution.
Right.
Okay, so that's really technically not salaries. Okay.
Mr. Jimmy, I can't see if your mic's on or light's on or... Mr. Abady?
Without going into a lot of specifics, but just as a general comment, in this and a couple of the other amendments, there are places where the salary monies are decreased, benefits monies are decreased. As you know from our discussion last week, we're trying to work around the fact that we don't have the budget amendment on the agenda for the 2% COLA raise. The workaround for that requires us to be able to make internal transfers among these line items in order to fund the 2% COLA raise. If you start taking away that money, then you will defund the 2% COLA raise. So, that you can't just start, you can't tell us we're not going to allocate money for the COLA raise that's been promised to the employees and then take away the money that we're trying to work together with you in order to accomplish it. So I will just tell you as a general observation on any amendment, if you start taking money out of salaries and out of benefits and those categories, those line items, then you're going to put us in a position where these amendments may in fact put the 2% COLA raise at risk.
Okay, so are you saying to me, so what's the dollar amount that you need for the 2% COLA raises for the employees? I know you must have worked that out, right?
I worked it out quite some time ago. I don't know that number
So
off the
we
top of
don't
my
know what
head.
that dollar amount is.
But you and I just went through this a few days ago, and we had submitted the appropriate amendment language so that the council could in fact make sure that it was covered and the employees were taken care of. That's not on the agenda, and now we've got other amendments that go in and attack those sources of funding that we tried to put a
It's not on the
Band-Aid on it
agenda
with.
because the council is not allowed, and you and I addressed this, the
Well-
council is not allowed to submit COLA raise
No, the
amendments
council,
on,
the amendment that we submitted through the council members was a transfer of funds among the line items and the
sit down,
categories that
you can
needed to
sit
be
down.
done to accomplish the COLA raise. So if you know, there is some dispute as to whether or not those are considered encumbered funds. If in fact, under the accounting rules, you call those, the salary numbers encumbered funds, then you have to approve it as an ordinance. So, you know, I don't want to, I thought we had a workout here. If you want to split hairs over that, we can do that. But the only thing I'm telling the council is a general caution that you need to keep in mind that if you start moving line item money that's in these salaries and benefits out of these categories, that you could in fact put us in the position where you've taken away the COLA money. So not all these amendments, it only applies to a couple of these amendments, but it happens to apply to the first one we're discussing tonight, so I'm just giving you that information. It's up to you to vote.
okay, we're in front of the camera right now. Did you or Mr. Cantrell call Mr. Jones about this amendment or any other council members to explain this concern of yours? Just curious. I know I wasn't
No,
called
I
as
haven't,
chair.
I haven't talked to anybody about it. I've actually been working all day on a response to one of your other questions.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, Mr. Abedy, with all due respect, I don't think $36,000 raise is a COLA raise. It's not. It's no compatible. Employee benefit, no, that's not COLA. This is direct to the parish president's salary and benefits.
Well, Mr. Jones, you keep calling this a raise. The parish president's salary is set by the law. It's a formula. It's not done by the parish president, and the formula was established by a different parish council. Nobody in this room has any control over that calculation. That calculation is made according to the law. There's nobody that gives the parish president a raise. Nobody has the authority to give the parish president a raise. The parish president takes exactly what the law says he gets, no more and no less.
But there's a discrepancy in how that's determined.
I requested the formula before I did this. And Ms. Carleen, if you had those emails, would you mind reading those emails before I did it?
While she's digging that up, it was my understanding that we switched to this whole gap plan because that 700 and something thousand was what you all were saying that you were going to fund any COLA raises with. Now you're saying if this happens, if the council members do this, then that's going to cause the breakdown of the COLA raises.
Don't put
what was
words in my
budgeted
mouth.
for-
What I'm saying is, we want to go back to the gap plan and the health insurance. What I'm saying is that all insurance, whether it's the 2018 insurance or the 2019 insurance, is itemized in the budget, which is different from the health insurance plan. It's itemized in the budget on these lines because it has to be allocated. So if you start moving or taking away allocated funds, then it does in fact affect the source of the funds for the COLA raise. That's all I'm saying.
Well, hang on
It's
a
got
second.
nothing to do whether it's a gap plan or any other kind of plan.
But, I mean, we were told, and the employees were told there was a $700,000 savings as to what was budgeted, and so now this is being said. Mr. Jones, you had something else? Mr.
Not
Lassay?
at this time. I wanted,
Oh, okay. Mr. Lasane, can you hang on a second? Ms. Carlene?
On November 14th, I sent an email to our finance director asking her to provide me with a breakdown on how they arrived at the parish president's salary for the year 2019, and I asked her to please provide this to me by 10:30 a.m. that day. She responded back to me that finance does not compute the parish president's salary. This is done by Human Resources. All that finance does is to verify that it's in accordance with the ordinance and inputs it into the budget. Emily would be the one that can assist you with this computation. I then sent an email to the HR director requesting that she please provide me with a breakdown on how she arrived at the parish president's salary for the year 2019. Asked that she provide this to me by 10:30 a.m. 10:30 passed. I had not heard anything from her. Councilman Jones asked that I please send her another email, which I did, and I asked her to please provide it to me as soon as she could. She said she had been busy all morning. She was currently finalizing her response. You'll have it as soon as I am finished with it. And at 11:44 a.m., same day, November 14th, Mr. Abadi sent me an email. I visited with Emily and Carol this morning in order to get the information you requested. Following is the discussion and documentation we have. As everyone is aware, the parish president's salary is calculated by averaging the sheriff, assessor, and clerk of court annual salaries. The salary calculated and submitted for budget year 2018 was $159,920.58. That was reduced by the council. Although ordinance number 5444 states to certify the salaries in August of each year of the positions listed above, it does not state as to who, where the salaries should be certified from. Furthermore, it seems that the only fair way to certify is through the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's website. However, the reports that are needed in order to certify are not available on the LIA's website until the start of the following year. I have attached printouts to verify the dates of each of the entities involved. You will see that the highlighted information reflects the period that was audited and the date each report was issued. Therefore, the salary that I submitted to the Finance Department for 2019 is the same as 2018, $159,920.58. The only way to certify the parish president's salary accurately is to wait for the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office to publish the necessary reports and make adjustments to our budget once these reports are available. Once the salary information has been reported, administration will make the necessary adjustments in accordance with procedure. The salary that was submitted in the 2019 budget, $160,535, is calculated with 26.1 pays instead of the standard 26 pays due to the payroll processing schedule. The last pay period of 2019 is split between 2019, 2 working days, and 2020, 6 working days. Therefore, the parish must budget in preparation of the following year. This was sent from Human Resources. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Ms. Carlene. So what I did was, they didn't come up with a formula. I used the same formula we did in 18.
And that formula was, Mr. Jones?
The formula that we got from the DA office,
Which was the base salary of the
base
sheriff?
salary. Right,
So, assessor and clerk of court.
and the clerk of court.
And just for people that don't understand why this is an issue, the charter doesn't state specifically whether or not you take it from the base salary or if you take it from their current salary. So, for example, we have a sheriff that's been in office 100 years, and, or, 30 years. So every certification he gets an increase in his salary. Same thing with the clerk and same thing with the assessor. Every certification they get an increase in their salary. So the council and the parish president have gone back and forth because the charter doesn't state specifically if it's the base salary or if it's their salary, but their salary could change every year based on which certifications they're getting. A parish president has no way to get certifications, so does the parish president's salary just keep going up every time the assessor does extra work or the sheriff does extra work? So that's where the discrepancy has been, whether it's base salary or our actual, average of our actual elected officials. Talking about. Ms. Colleen?
If I'm not mistaken, I think the three entities involved, their salaries are set by state statutes, base state statutes, no compensation involved at that time.
For additional certifications.
For additional certifications, certification, not compensation. But their salary is set by state statute.
So, for example, like if Sheriff Weber would leave, next year, then the parish president's salary would plummet because the next sheriff would not have, those certifications. So it's just let the record show Councilman LaFonte had stepped out at 5:32 and stepped back in at 5:34. Any further discussion? Mr. Jimmy, we mentioned this, we mentioned this Waverly town hall meeting that we had on May 7th. And what prompted me to schedule that meeting was the flooding that Bentley, Magnolia Landing, and, I don't know how many houses are in Magnolia Landing, but I appreciate Mr. Jones trying to take action because I can remember one night, not very long ago, I'd finally gotten home. It was about 10:30 at night. I called Mr. Jones and said, "Now what?" And he told me, "Pray it stops raining. Pray it stops raining." I was worried I was going to lose all those homes in Magnolia Landing. I'm a faithful woman, but praying isn't all we can do. So we had the town hall meeting, and you all said y'all were going to do X, Y, and Z. So what has been done since the town hall meeting to correct this problem that we're having with the flooding in Magnolia Landing and Bentley? What's been done since May? So how many months is that? 6 months? 7 months almost? So, Mr. Barnes, thank you.
We got a right-of-way. We had to go through the process of getting right-of-ways to extend an existing ditch to make another outfall canal that is going to drain that area. Once we got the right-of-ways obtained, we finally got started on the project and got a little ways into it, and the rain started again. So it's just too wet.
So you actually broke ground.
Yes.
Where's that, which right-of-way is that?
That's the one right behind Magnolia Landing coming all the way to Talbot. You can see where the ditch, where they started digging at Talbot going back toward Magnolia Landing.
And so 7 months, we didn't have any dry time other than just to start that project, get a couple of right-of-ways, start that project.
Well, time we went through the process of the council of getting the right-of-ways and get the landowner's signature and get through the council. We only been like 3 months away, and it has been raining ever since. And you cannot we've got to haul all that dirt out of there. And time a truck backs in there once or twice, 3 times, you can't no more pass on it. We only got a right-of-way so wide. It's not like in a regular outfall area where we got room to spread out. So we confine to a certain space. Like I mentioned before, I would have loved to have had dry weather. It's a lot of things we could have got accomplished that the weather's just been hindering us on a tremendous amount of projects. Not
Right.
only in...
I agree with that, I know that, but it's been 7 months, but.
Yes, yes ma'am. And every 2 or 3 days it comes another rain.
And how's that going to help Bentley? Because people in Bentley have been dealing with this issue now for years, and they can't get in and out of their house unless they have a four-wheeler or something, four-wheel truck.
Yes,
So-
yes ma'am, I've been back there. And this ditch will go all the way to Bentley.
So this one ditch will stop the flooding in Magnolia and the flooding in Bentley?
No ma'am, it's gonna help Because on Bentley, when you leave this outfall ditch, you go down the street further, that's the low end. That's the way the developer built it. The parish accepted it.
Can y'all?
The parish accepted it. So the developer couldn't build the lots up to the new elevation. So he sold it to a mobile home, a developer that sells mobile homes, and he sold trailers and lots. So they can build the trailers up, but they didn't have to elevate the ground. So at the low end of the street, the water goes to the low end, comes around through the woods to an old natural drainage, and comes back into this outfall ditch. So it is gonna help. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a cure-all problem, because we still have many other subdivisions that's, I looked at one today that we're getting inundated with, water from a pasture, 5 orphans wide. So, yes, ma'am, I would love to have had that outfall ditch dug by now.
Mr. Lasang, did you have something to say earlier, or you changed your mind? Sure. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Mr. Jimmy, is your light on? Can't see you. Yeah, let's put it on the board. Y'all ready over there? We're gonna vote on the board. Voting is ended, okay. Thank you, gentlemen who supported this initiative. I know people in Magnolia Landing and Bentley will appreciate you caring about what happens to their homes and their families.
Second, thank you to the council.
That passes 8-1 with O10 voting no. Amendment number 2 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budgets, moved by Councilman Perilou. Second by Lafont. Include funding for proposed bath facility center at the Raceland Recreation Center in 2019 project detail. Fund 102 building and maintenance, increase in transfer out to capital outlay 299 in the amount of $275,000. Fund 299 capital outlay, increase in transfer in the amount of $275,000. Increase in capital outlay in the amount of $275,000 to provide funding for the proposed bath facility center at the Raceland Recreation Center. We have a motion by Perilou, second by Lafont. Any discussion? Mr. Perilou?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know what this is. The Raceland Recreation Center is an evacuation center for hurricanes or any other natural disasters. And normally when we house people there, there's no facilities. There's a couple of toilets in there. And so when we have National Guard members or other first responders that can be there for from 1 to several days with no facilities to clean. So this is for just a small addition on the backside of the building to create some showers and some sanitation area for that purpose.
Anyone else? Mr. Jimmy, if you put your light on through today, I can't see you, so you may have to wave to me. No? Okay. All right, being none, we're going to put all of these on the board, if you don't mind, Trey. Voting has begun. So voting is ended. Passes 9-0. Amendment number 3 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget. Can someone move for me? Moved by Lafont. Second by second by Jones. Include additional funding for the proposed Chack Bay Community Center in 2019, project detail 18028. Fund 102, building and maintenance, increase and transfer out to capital outlay 299 in the amount of $100,000. Fund 299, capital outlay 18028, increase and transfer in from Fund 102 in the amount of $100,000, increase in capital outlay in the amount of $100,000. Provide funding for the proposed Chack Bay Community Center, project number 18028 project. Any discussion? Mr. Grow.
So I see you have a project number. So last year you put this as possibly the old school?
Yes,
I know
it
you were
is,
meeting
and I
with the
put
school
money in
board.
it
Okay.
last year when we
Okay.
knew it was becoming available, and I'm gonna move money into it now. I know Mr. Cantrell they got an appraisal, but I think they're willing to get creative with how we can assume that facility, but, additional discussions haven't happened yet, so, I ask you all to support this, and, Chack Bay, the 6th Ward, has nothing, has no community center. When the money was removed from the city of Thibodaux, it's now extra money for my residents to participate in city of Thibodaux recreation. And so this would be a great facility for our community, and would be a good meeting place for people of the 6th Ward to finally have something. I know we looked over in awe at the big project that's going to happen in Councilman Otaz's district as the ground breaking, and this is pennies compared to that project. So, any further discussion? Let's vote. Thank you, gentlemen. Passes 9-0. Amendment number 4 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget. Can someone move for me? Moved by Lafont, second by Melvin. Include additional funding for the proposed Bayou Buff ballpark restrooms in 2019 project detail 18027, Fund 102, building and maintenance, increase and transfer out to capital outlay 299 in the amount of $50,000. Fund 299, capital outlay project 18027, increase transfer in from Fund 102 in the amount of $50,000, increase in capital outlay in the amount of $50,000. Provide additional funding for the Bayou Buff ballpark restroom project number 18027 project. Any discussion? This is, again, this is right near Bayou Buff School. They have a really nice softball field. They have a walking track, and none of it's used because there's no restroom facilities. It used to, I think the parish used to maybe rent some portalettes, but that's now, they don't even ask anymore. I don't think, they don't do any activities at the ballpark because of it. And even when someone goes and walks, they say they can't walk for very long because they have to go home and, yeah. So I'd appreciate your support on this one. No further discussion. Let's vote. Passes 9-0. Thank you, gentlemen. This one has an amendment. Ms. Carleen, can you do this one, Ms. Carleen? You feel it? You want to read this one with the amendment and all?
Amendment number 5 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budgets, including funding for, let me get a motion first, please. Moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Grow. Include funding for improvements and maintenance for Lafourche Parish Council District 2 boat launches in 2019 project detail. Fund 110 Recreation, increase and transfer out to capital outlay 299 in the amount of $100,000. Fund 299 capital outlay, increase and transfer in the amount of $100,000. increase in capital outlay in the amount of $100,000 to provide funding for the proposed Jack Bay Community Center. You have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Grow. Any discussion? We also have an amendment. Who has the amendment? Well, I have it, but who's sponsoring it?
Can someone move on that for me?
Okay.
Moved by
Amendment,
Jones, second, is someone second?
yeah, we need a second.
I need a second by O10. Go ahead, Ms. Colleen.
We have a motion by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Ote on the amendment. Amendment to Amendment Number 5 of the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budgets. Everybody has it in front of them. Under Fund 299 Capital Outlay, the last line, to provide funding for we're going to take out the proposed Jack Bay Community Center and replace it with District 2 boat launches.
Thank you. Any discussion? Being none, ready to vote?
On the amendment
Oh,
first.
let's vote on the amendment. So we're going to do that on the board as well. Want to do that? Do you have the amendment on the screen, or we need to do?
No, 'cause
No,
we just
okay.
had this tonight, so.
All right, so on the amendment, let's vote on that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Amendment passes 9-0. Now, we're going to vote on the item as amended. Trey, can we, item as amended, can we do that one on the board? Ms. Colleen? Did everyone vote? He's missing one. Item passes 9-0 as amended. Thank you, gentlemen. Amendment number 6 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget, moved by Lafont, second by Lorraine. Include funding for Golden Meadow Seawall Project in 2019 Project Detail 2019-Capital Outlay Grant, Fund 00141-502 Executive, decrease in 458130 in STLODG in the amount of 4,000, decrease in 458900 OTST travel in the amount of 9,000, decrease in 458920 OTST meal in the amount of 2,000, decrease in 458930 OT, I guess that's OT's out of town. Out of town, okay. OT State Lodge in the amount of 8,000. So this is, okay. Fund 00141-501 Finance, decrease in 411000 salaries in the amount of 76,974. Increase in transfer out, Fund 001 to Capital Outlay Grant in the amount of 99,974. Fund 299 Capital Outlay, increase in transfer in the amount of 99,974. Increase in capital outlay in the amount of 99,974 to provide funding for the Golden Meadow Seawall Project. Any discussion? Mr. Grow?
Yeah. I just would ask y'all to support it. This is money we've been owing to the town of Golden Meadow for 3 years. If y'all want to know the breakdown, on the decrease in travel, it looks like from what Reggie and I looked at, in 3 years, executive branch has only used $3,505 in travel. This is, again, it was paid to stop flooding of the 10th Ward, Golden Meadow especially, but could affect the whole 10th Ward. The decrease in the salaries is $76,000. There was actually an increase in $84,115.55, which says was for possibly two accounting managers positions. So it's a new position. It's not a raise. It was a new position being added. I think we need to pay the town of Golden Meadow the money we owe them. So I ask y'all to support it.
Mr. Grow?
Yeah, you answered one of my questions, but I was wondering if it was what Mr. Buzagay had come up, Mayor Buzagay, a few times to talk to us about. But we didn't have that in the budget. It was just a handshake or something. Funding was coming from entities. Was it no project code before?
No, it was in there, the parish had agreed on it. We had put it in, it stayed after 3 years, they could take it out. They took it out, I'm just putting it back in.
By putting this in, doesn't force anybody's hand to
Don't
give it
force
to them.
anybody to pay it, but if we get a new parish president in a year from now, it's gonna stay in for 3 years. The next parish president can't pay it if they decide not to pay it. But just the 76,000, it was actually allocated 84,000 for a new position, possible new position, as it says in there. So I'm just taking that money out.
Mr. O'Terry?
Yeah, so this is another one that I agree that we should have paid. I know that there was a couple of people that were against paying. The mayor, I agreed, however, once again, I'm not gonna take money from salaries and these, some of these items, it just not, to me, it's not the right location. But as I've said in the past, I was in support of paying for that seawall, even though it was a gentleman's agreement with the last administration. I thought we should have paid it, but I disagree with the locations where this is coming from.
Mr. Cantrell?
Yes. I spoke to Mr. Buzigard, and the thing has been fully funded, the seawall. So I said, let me give you some and some else. So he asked for playground equipment, $100,000. He said that would serve him just as good. So what he's gonna do, he had money put up for the playground materials. So I gave him, put in the budget $100,000. And so now what you're doing, you're double dipping. The mayor asked for his 100,000, I gave him his 100,000 in playground equipment, and that's what he wanted for. Did you speak to the mayor about it?
I hung up with the mayor right before I pulled up in here, and he said he didn't make any agreement on the $100,000 not paying the seawall. He said you approached him, that you wanted to put 100,000, you approached him first to put a water park over there, because you wanted he said you wanted something that people could see. And he didn't have you wanted him to put up another 100,000. He said he didn't have that kind of money. It was gonna be a 2-year thing. You put 100,000 this year, I put 100,000. Next year we put 100,000. He said he didn't have that money.
I agree.
And, then you came back and said, well, let's do some, recreation, park stuff.
No, that's not true. He said that he needed some money for the playground equipment, and I said, how much do you need? He said $100,000. I said, I'll put it in the budget for you.
Well, I just spoke to him right before I walked in. I actually talked to him the whole way from home or from work. And he said he needs that $100,000. It was money that he had to take from other
He's gonna
projects.
get it anyway. If he had the money for the playground equipment, let him take it out and put it to the seawall. But whatever way you do it, he's getting it.
He's getting it for a different project. This is money he took away from him.
All right.
You said, you told him, and he told me this, you told him that you were gonna give $100,000 to all the areas, and you was gonna give him $100,000. That's what he told me a little while ago. And so, we owe him $100,000. We actually shortchanging him $24, but I think he'll be fine with the shortchange of $24, I mean.
Mr. Lorraine?
Yes, this all should have been done but when Jimmy came in. And he was saying the reason why he never paid him is because he never had a cooperative endeavor. Now you expect me to sit here and believe that you're going to go and give him $100,000 for recreation and word of mouth when you didn't pay him from the first time and you should have paid him? And you didn't.
Mr.
You
Cantrell?
didn't pay him.
Mr. Lorraine?
And we approved it before your term, and you let it go because you said we have no paperwork, we have no cooperative endeavor, and you're going to sit here, right here tonight, and say we're going to work out a deal on recreation with nothing in writing, and you expect us to believe you? Come on.
Mr. Jimmy?
Mr. Lorraine, I had nothing at all to go by, not even an email, nothing to go by. And when I talked to him, he said he wanted the money for playground equipment. So I gave it to him for playground equipment. And it's in the budget, so it's up to you. I mean, I'm
Show
just-
me where you got the agreement. You just said you talked to him, he said, give me recreation. He's saying he just got off the phone with him, he said nothing about recreation, he says about seawall.
All right. Well, it's in the budget anyway, so do whatever you want to do.
Okay, again, for people watching, just because the council moves something into the budget, or even if the administration moves something into the budget, it doesn't mean the administration has to move on it, so the money could sit there. Any further discussion? Mr. Lasang, you had your light on and I waited you out again, huh? You sure? I wonder if that would work with everybody, if I made everybody wait and if no one would have a discussion. Okay, y'all ready to vote? Passes 8-0. 8-1 with Mr. Otam voting no. Amendment number 7 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budgets, moved by Gross, second by Otam. Include funding for improvements and maintenance to the Thibodeau Courthouse in 2019 project detail. Fund 102, Building and Maintenance, increase and transfer out to capital outlay 299 in the amount of $110,000. Fund 299, capital outlay, increase and transfer in the amount of $110,000. Increase in capital outlay in the amount of $110,000 to provide improvements and maintenance to the Thibodeau Courthouse. Any discussion? Mr. Groh?
I was just gonna mention, I have a request, a cost estimate on schematic designs and landscape and exterior, fixes of this for $104,000, that I received back in November from Main Street. A year ago, they got some funding, a grant, like $32,000 a couple of years ago, and started doing some work, and the parish assisted in helping them pressure wash. We had to use special chemicals. We couldn't even use pressure washers. The building's a real historical site, and it's deteriorating and needs some addressing big time, or it's gonna get away from us. So I'd ask for your support.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote. I will be abstaining from this vote. Oh. I didn't think they had an abstain, but. Okay, item passes 8-0 and 1 abstention from Esposito. Amendment number 8 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget, moved by Mr. Groh, second by Mr. Jones. Include additional funding for the proposed Pelche Park turf fields in 2019 project details, 18032. Fund 110 Recreation, increase and transfer out to capital outlay 299 in the amount of $100,000. Fund 299 capital outlay project, 18032, increase and transfer in from Fund 110 in the amount of $100,000, increase in capital outlay in the amount of $100,000 to provide additional funding for the Pelche Park turf fields, project number 18032 project. Any discussion? Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, Mike had a quick question, just in general. I know a lot of things in the parish are going turf fields, and look, I like turf. I wish my yard was turf, okay? I wouldn't have to cut the grass. But my thing is, as government goes, it all sounds good and looks good, but when it comes time and how long these fields last, and I'm gonna support it, but my only question is that, do y'all have an idea of how they're saving money for upkeep and to replace these fields so that recreation doesn't have to take a year off to seed the thing if they can't afford to replace the turf? And this is not just with this one project, this is all over the parish. And high schools, thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, boy, in the Heroes Park, we got the turf field baseball. And they charge enough and they put some on the side for expense for torn turf and all. So, it's fairly reasonable.
And that's fine. It's to put that on the side I'm worried about, like what they doing with that, put that on the side, because you know government, it's on the side sometimes.
But that's recreation district, Bo.
I'm making sure, because they could spend on something else, I'm just making sure.
Mr. Otam?
So Jared, the parks at Heroes, that they're completely 100% turf, or it's just the infields of turf?
The infield,
So it's just the infields of
both
turf?
infields.
And it's about $50,000 to replace the turf on the infield? I got 2 calls, people asking the same thing. I'm just asking.
I don't know how much it is to replace it, but we saved money. We spent about what? $235,000 to install it on both fields, and we had about 65, 70,000 left.
That was the original install? So
Right.
this is going towards some of that 235? Or this is to replace the repairs to that
It's totally different. This
The
is for Peltier Park.
235,
at Pelche Park?
yeah,
So
two
this is
different
doing-
balls.
So I'm getting
Yeah.
confused.
He was
Mr.
just
Grohl?
mentioning about the Peltier Park, how it saved time, money, and whatnot. I got a request 2 years ago from Recreation in the City of Thibodeau as a capital outlay. Every rec district can ask for it. They turfed 2 fields on their own. It's working really good, so they wanted to do some more. They had a cost estimate that was in a $250,000 range. I thought that was a lot to ask for, so I'm working my way to it. So that's why I asked him for 100 this time. So, appreciate your support.
Any additional questions? Nothing from the administration? Okay, you ready to vote? Item passes 8-0 with 1 abstention from Sposito. Amendment 9, number 9, to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget. Moved by Gross, second by Melvin. Include funding for the City of Thibodeau for recreation activities in 2019 project detail, 2019 capital outlay grant, Fund 110 Recreation, increase in Recreation District 7, grant line Rec 07 in the amount of $107,000. Any discussion, Mr. Grove, you want to explain that one?
For the people that might have missed it on TV the last 3 times I did. Okay, so this is something that I've brought up and I'll continue to bring up. The parish-wide meal is for all residents, 1.65 or whatnot. It's for everybody, even the incorporated areas, Golden Meadow, Lockport, and Thibodeau. You blinking over there. City of Thibodeau provides probably recreation for over 2,600 people. And it's one of the heavier populated areas. 35% of people live in that area. I'm just trying to get a percentage of what they pay in their taxes back. And it's the same formula we've used in the past. It's been $107,000. They operate their own rec district, and I'm going to ask for it again. I seriously doubt it's going to be given.
Mr. Lorraine?
They had a 10-year cooperative endeavor for the city of Thibodeau to get that 107. And the reason why that was done at the time was you were getting $5-6 million a year of royalty. I don't know where we're going to get all this recreation money, boys. I'm going to vote for it. But maybe you should come down with the breakdown of how much millages is collected in them areas. I don't think that they pay as much as what they're going to get. But something's going to crack after a while, I'm telling you, with recreation. 1.5 mils is not enough to operate this whole parish. I'm telling y'all. In the budget, I'm going to vote for it. You're going to have it sitting there. Doesn't mean it's going to get done because something's got to give, I'm telling y'all. You are not going to operate this parish with 1.5 mils, with the 4 districts not receiving anything except Corey's district. You're going to see. You're going to have a brand-new facility in Lockport that's probably never going to open unless they pass a tax.
Any further discussion? Smiles across the board. Go ahead, Mr. O'Tan.
I just want to tell the residents out there, that community center is going to open.
It's like building a house without a roof.
Okay. Y'all ready to vote? Item passes 8-0 with 1 abstention. Sposito. Amendment number 10 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget, moved by Paraloo, second by Lafont. Include funding for Sugar Mill Side Road Repair and Improvement Project in 2019 project detail 2019-Capital Outlay Project, Fund 00141502, Executive, decrease in 433011, Legal in the amount of $10,000, decrease in 458000, and ST Trav in the amount of $5,000. Fund 00141504, Property and Risk Management, decrease in 433011, Legal in the amount of $30,000, decrease in 485000, Damages in the amount of $5,000, increase in transfer out Fund 001 to Capital Outlay Fund 299 in the amount of $50,000. Fund 299 Capital Outlay, increase in transfer in the amount of $50,000, increase in capital outlay in the amount of $50,000 to provide funding for the Sugar Mill Side Road repair and improvement. Any discussion? Mr. Rotan.
Yeah, so this is another one I have concerns of where we pull all this money from. My question to James would be, I mean, are you aware of this one? Do we have any kind of estimate on the repair, and is there any established funding source for this?
We can go to road sales tax A, but I have not studied this project, to be honest with you. I seen it on the amendment when I got them Wednesday evening. We still have road sales tax A with some money in it, and also the transportation fund for 19. So we do have another funding source if we need it.
Mr. Paraloo.
All right, just to give you just a quick rundown on what this project is all about. There's a new company that built by the sugar mill called Verdea. And what they do is they take the extracted bagasse and they extract it further, and they make like sweeteners and things like that. They have a road that runs through their plant that is not adequate for the size of the traffic that they need to go through there. So what they're asking for, and we have Dustin Rabelais on board, he's looking for some state matching funds on this item. So we're just looking to earmark some funds for that project so Dustin could take it to the state and show them that we have some funding in place for it so they can widen and pave the road, which will then enhance the area. And there's 3 other companies that are looking to move in with Verdea to complete the process instead of shipping that stuff out to different states. So this will prompt economic development in Raceland.
Mr. Lasang.
Well, first off, when you decrease the legal and risk management, we're not going to be able to pay the lawyers that do the risk management. There's ample funds in either A or the transportation fund for this project, but the legal and risk management would have to stay there. And the legal and executive, they took some other out. It just has to be there. We have legal bills that come every month. I mean, thousands and thousands every month. We have at any time 15 or 20, so around 20 right now, cases going on. And the bills just keep coming in. And those monies were put in there for that purpose. But like I said, it's easy to fund out of road sales tax A or it's probably A is best because it is.
There's no money in road sales tax A.
Well, you still have the transportation fund, but it's only $50,000. You have to pay the lawyers. You don't have to do the project. You could use, like I say, transportation funds also, which can be used parish-wide.
Either that or y'all can quit getting us sued and we won't need all that money in legal defenses.
Well, the thing is, the suits, we have to defend ourselves. Usually we're recused from them. A lot of them have to do with the prison, and they sue to say they're frivolous. If they had to pay when they lost, we'd make money off of this stuff. But we just have to pay. I mean, I was looking at one today that's just ridiculous, and we got to defend ourselves.
So that's the reason for the big increase in lawsuits? You're saying the prison situation? Okay. Any further discussion? Mr. LaFont?
Yeah, well, 2 questions. That's a parish-owned road, or is that a state-owned road?
Mr. Paraloo, turn on your.
It's to build a
mic so
new
we can all
road?
hear.
It's to put a new road in the Raceland Sugar facility for more companies to move into the area.
That's privately owned land, or that's
I
parish
believe the
owned land.
sugar mill owns the property that the road would be on, yes.
So, is it even legal for us to do that? They would have to develop it themselves, then give it back to the parish. And the reason I asked, I tried pulling the road up, and I don't see that road. So I was asking.
It's just a dirt road right now. It's not an official street or anything like that. That's why it needs improvement.
Right, but if it's on private property, I don't think we can develop it with parish money. I might be wrong, but I don't think we can. And then my second question is, Reggie, how much money, can you, look real quick and see how much money is in the, would that deplete all the legal fees, or?
In the property and risk management, under damages, there was 0 allocated in 18, and 5,000 was added. There was 0 allocated in 17, and 5,000 was added. And under legal, it went from department head 10,000, parish president increased to 20,000 to 30. Parish president increased it an extra 20. The in-state travel is 5,000. 18, $52.09 was used, and 17, $1,204 was used. That's gonna leave, them with $4,000 in travel money. And legal was originally budgeted at 19, and the department head at 10,000, and the parish president upped it another 10 to 20. So I just brought it back to the department head administrator side.
Mr. Parley?
So basically, what we're attempting to do right here is get an economic development grant to do this project, but we need to show good faith as a parish and earmark some funds towards that project so we can get some additional funds to do it. So that's what we're trying to attempt to do.
Mr. LaFont?
Yeah, I think it's a good economic development program, and I'm gonna support it, but if we might have to get a legal opinion to see if we could even spend parish money, and I'm gonna support it just so you could have the money, because I think, one place we were lacking, economic development and generating fund is the central part of the parish. And, I think they're doing a great job. I think you got 2 plants in the last 4 or 5 years. So I'll support it, but I just ask if, before we do the project, make sure that it's legal.
Ms. Lucy?
Mr. Barnes?
Yes, this is gonna be a major tax source. If we can, somehow or another get this road built, it'll be a great improvement to bringing other businesses in and supporting the businesses that's already there. And like Corey says, this is just to have money to back up the grant, to say we have something to put aside for the grant. But the funding source is, up to y'all.
Mr. Jacuzzo?
Yeah, Corey, do we currently surface it with limestone, rock, dirt, anything? So there's no maintenance with the parish with this at all right now? That's what I want.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with everyone that I think it would be a great economic development project, but I know we can't improve private property. So, what do we normally do in these situations? Is there CEA done, or is property donated to the parish, or Mr. Paraloo?
Dustin's working on this end of it right now with Vic Lafont, and they're putting a packet together to go request the funds for economic development. And they're asking for just good faith money showing the parish supports the project. That's what we're trying to do. We may not even touch the $50,000, but we just need something to show the state that it's a vital project for the Central Lafourche area for economic development. That's all I'm asking for.
Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, what about some of the companies that want to locate there? What about them participating?
I think when the project is developed and bid out, I think that would be a great.
Because when we get roads at Port Fourchon, the company's got to participate. They got to build the bulkheads and then turn it over to the port, all that. They don't get nothing free.
Mr. Lasang?
it's not the project. The project seems like a good project. It's the funding source. There is money in road sales tax aid and transportation. That's what I'm saying. That's what it's allocated for. And then if we need to come back later for money for whatever, like the prison, feeding the prisoners or something, you can't take it from A, and you can't take it from transportation funds. Those are dedicated. So by using general fund money, you're restricting the parish further from things that are gonna pop up, which you know they're gonna pop up. We have so many unknowns with the new prison. It might be very good, but if it's good, it's gonna be for a short time, and it might be very bad, and it might start fast, because there's gonna be, I mean, he plans on filling that prison up with close to 600 prisoners. That's crazy. The medical is gonna go way up. I mean, if you look at the budget, a lot of things went way up just because it's gonna happen. We had a big meeting the other day as to who's gonna pay for this, that, and the other, because as you know, we don't own that prison. So but we're still responsible for paying, feeding the prisoners, and this, that, and the other. And we will get sued if we get named in everything. You know, a cow runs across the road, we get sued, and I'm not making a joke, that happened. So I'm just saying it's the funding source, but, I mean, you can pass it, you could be amended, Mr. Cantrell might veto it and suggest an amendment or something, but nobody, I think it's a viable project. I understand what you're saying. And I understand that you need to put up good faith money, it's just the funding source.
Yeah, I agree with that one, too. Anyone else? Mr. Lasang?
I would say pass it, and then he could veto it and suggest an alternate funding source, and you can amend it. You know,
Gentlemen, y'all ready to vote?
or you can leave it like it is.
Mr. Otam?
Yeah, so I mean, so what Tom is saying is if we pass, it gets vetoed, he can find an alternate. I mean, I would be in favor, from a perspective of economic development, not to go and blacktop somebody's road, because, I mean, I manage a chemical plant, and we bring in millions to the parish, and we have to pave our own roads. Costs us a fortune. But I can see as a new economic development project to bring in businesses, I would agree with that. To go now and fix somebody's road, I don't think it's fair to all the other businesses in this parish. But from an economic development standpoint, I would agree. I think that's what the project should be called. So I was gonna vote against until Tommy made the recommendation. It could be vetoed in another funding source. So with that light, I'll be in support of it.
Any further discussion? All right, let's vote. Yeah. Item passes 8-1 with Lorraine voting nay. Amendment number 11, I am pulling. Amendment number 12, I am pulling. Amendment number 13, to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget, moved by Melvin, second by Jacuzo. Rename capital budget Fund 14011, Concrete Drain Ditch Country Club to Crossing North Drainage Improvements. Any discussion? Mr. Melvin?
Yes, I just ask for your support with this. This money's been in the budget for a while, and as y'all know, there's some extensive work being done in the country club right now in lieu of a pump. So I know that Crossing North really needs some, earthwork done, not too much, but enough to where they can stop the pastures from either side of the neighborhood from draining into their drainage system. So I'm not moving any money, just trying to rename the project simply because we need to look at that and address on how we can help them to relieve their drainage issues. Thank you.
Mr. LaFont?
Yeah, I just, you already had the money in the budget for a concrete drain is what it is, or?
Well, it's been in there for a while for a lip on the cement ditch in the country club, which they are adding to this same project, and I just think the money would be better spent in another place. Yeah.
Yeah, I only got, my concern with that is, and James, maybe you can answer this for me and help me out. We discussed this not long ago I think it was Jerry Jones's area, we have a concrete ditch. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
And we got trees growing in it. And, we can't spray certain things to kill it. That was a big discussion here. Have we figured out a solution? Is that feasible to go ahead and concrete them, or is it just leave them dirt like they've been?
Mr. Jones?
It's clean
No, I'm
now.
asking James, not you,
Oh.
sir.
It's clean now. I just want to let you know that ditch is clean, and the excavator got in there and it worked well.
All right, Mr. James?
Mr. Barnes?
Yes, they missed one step in the design process. It should have had filter cloths up under the concrete, and that would have killed all the growth from coming up to the joints where the concrete joints are. So that was one step that the engineer missed on it, and it didn't get put into the design. And we have several concrete ditches around. They're just a little easier to maintain, and also they actually flow water better than culverts.
Oh, definitely on culverts.
Yes.
Okay, I just questioned that, because I know y'all had discussed that we couldn't figure out how to clean a cement ditch without, spraying a certain kind of chemical. I think it was 2,4-D. I couldn't spray 2,4-D if I remember right. But,
Well, one of my parish-wide operations managers and myself, we sat down and discussed it. And he come up with a great idea, and was able to accomplish what we needed to accomplish with it. And it's a whole lot cheaper than culverts.
I'm still a firm believer if the EPA would have never stopped people from spraying diesel back in the day. Would have saved a lot of money. Diesel was a good grass killer.
Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, Jerry, appreciate your concern. We're not cement lining any ditches in Crossing North. It's just that's what the project was called, and that's what was going to be done, but that was a while back, so thanks, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Being none, let's vote. Item passes 9-0. Amendment number 14, I'm pulling. Amendment number 15 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budget. Amendment to the ordinance to adopt the 2019 operations and capital budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Lorraine. Second by Jacuso. Under the unclassified executive branch, employee salaries are set as follows. Change, Human Resource Director. From $32.967031 hourly rate to $33.653846 hourly rate. From 70 hours to 80 hours, from $2,307.69 biweekly to $2,692 biweekly salary, from $60,000 annual salary to $70,000 annual salary. Any discussion? Mr. Lafont?
Yeah, I'm gonna be voting no on this one because of the fact that, 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, however long ago, we was trying to get a tax passed because we couldn't afford, garbage pickup. We seemed to find that money, and then I think had we just kept the salary at I know we increased the hourly rate and we increased the hours. I understand the hours and understand why that was done, but I can't support increasing the hourly rate. So I'm gonna be voting no.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, this is $10,000 increase. Going from 70 hours to 80 hours. Is that person working 70 hours now?
Mr. Jimmy?
That person's working 35 hours a week. She has a lot of work to do, and we want to increase it to 40 hours to make sure we keep up with the paperwork and all the stuff that she has to do.
I got a few calls on this one, that she never's on time at work, 'cause she comes in late every day. So, maybe she got 70 hours on papers, but is actually working those 70 hours. So I'm gonna be voting no on this also.
We have someone, yeah. Hang on a second.
Ms. Shani Hill, if you'd approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Ms. Hill, please remember you have 3 minutes.
Shani Hill, 4876 Highway 1. And to clarify on the private lands, you can't make improvements to private lands. We had that with the Mia Drive culvert issue, and I think y'all remember that DA opinion, so just to clarify on that. Raises. We just were asked to roll up taxes. Employees have been threatened with a layoff for the last 6 months. 40-hour employees had their hours cut to 35 hours a week for 4 months, while those already employed at 35 hours continued to receive their pay, all because we had no money. Now administration wants the council to approve raises. Raises, a $5,000 raise with the same DPW funds that could not pay employees just a few months ago, and a $10,000 raise for the HR director. Neither of these employees were affected when 40-hour employees were cut between $300 to $600 a month for 4 months. The average employee household suffered a $1,200 to $2,400 loss in pay, while others, 35-hour employees and administration, lived high on the hog. And now, all of a sudden, we have money to give those people who never missed a check $5,000, $10,000, and $35,000 raises. Wake up, Lafourche Parish. This is government. This is not private industry. When you are elected, you take an oath of office. You promise to the best of your ability and understanding to make the right decisions. So help you God. You are elected to be stewards of the taxpayer dollars. You also sign that you received a digital copy of the Louisiana Code of Governmental Ethics policy goals, which state, to ensure the public confidence in the integrity of the government, to ensure the independence and impartiality of elected officials and public employees, to ensure that governmental decisions and policies are made in the proper channel of government structure, and to ensure that the public office and employment are not used for private gain. Many of you work in private industry. Have you received a $5, a $10, a $20, or a $35,000 raise? And yet, administration questions why taxpayers just fail to support rolling up a tax because we have no money. Spend the money where it needs to be spent and quit lining administration's pockets. They negotiated their salaries when they were hired. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Any further discussion? Ms. Stotown?
Yeah, so I understand Shani's concern. I understand the direction she's coming from. However, I'll also go on to say that anytime there was going to be a cut to benefits, anything tried to bring money to employees down, I was against it. And I'll continue to vote that I think that our employees should get paid more, and I think they should get better benefits because your input is directly correlated to your output. And if you're not putting more in, you're not going to get more out. So I'm going to support raises for everybody. That's administration, that includes employees. I think it's long overdue. And so, I mean, I can't pick and choose like the administration can on who gets it. But I have faithfully supported benefits and raises, and I'll continue to do that.
Come back up. Someone needs to, okay, no. Go ahead.
Okay. Just keep this in mind as you vote as well. In 2010, the DPW director made $62,678.84. That same director, when he left in 2013, made $70,000 and $70,094.16. So in those 3 years, he had an increase of $7,415.32. In 2013, we had a director who was an engineer. He was hired on at $100,000 because he was an engineer. When he left in 2016, he was making $109,181.53. So that's a $9,181.53 adjustment. In 2016, the DPW director came on at $69,000, and that was in January. By May, he was making $84,010, and then the proposed raise is $89,010, which means in the last 2 years, that's a $20,010 raise. The HR director in 2013 made $46,165. In 2015, when that director left, they made $59,536. And then in January of 2016, Mr. Tommy was appointed HR director at $80,000. And then in February 2017, Miss Emily was appointed at $60,000, and she currently remains at $60,000. If you check the median salaries for these positions, some of them are extremely high, and some of them are extremely low. I've done the research. Again, I'm just going to reiterate, this is government, and this is not private industry. And again, we are spending taxpayer dollars. And I agree, everybody deserves a raise. But let's consider the equality. Let's consider the fact that our people who are out in the field doing the work are the ones who took the hit. Thank you.
Miss Lucy, I got something to say.
Go ahead, Mr. Barnes.
Yes, that is true. I started at 69 to give this council an opportunity to where I could exercise my expertise, being 42 years in the construction business. And I disagree with Ms. Hill, an engineer that we brought on board that cost this parish a ton of money. Okay? I'm not an engineer. It's people that can take that engineer's license away from them. You can't take what I got, and I'll match your mine any day of the week. And you're not out there in the middle of the night. You're not taking them phone calls. When these council people call me, the taxpayers need me. I'm out there. For 2.5 years, I didn't get paid nothing extra. Nothing. Okay? And I'm highly disappointed in you. You have worked right along beside of me for months. And I've helped you out many a time. Okay?
Mr. Cantrell.
This was not a personal attack at anyone. I was just exercising my freedom of speech.
You're fine.
And allowing you guys to understand what's going on.
Okay.
And employees are being harassed. Thank
Over their
you.
pay?
Not by me.
Mr. Cantrell, go ahead.
First of all, this was a personal attack, and I'm going to tell you, we had an engineer that worked here. It
Can
cost.
we not talk badly of somebody that can't defend
no,
themselves? I
I'm
really,
just going to say, I'm not talking bad, I'm just saying what happened. He went
but
from
he's
low
not
lift.
here to defend himself, Mr. Jimmy, so you can do it if you want to, but I just,
You don't want to hear the story? I'll tell you the
no, go
story.
ahead and tell me if you want, but
Okay, just taking Movall Pump Station cost us parish 3.5 or $4 million. And I'm not knocking anybody because it's a mistake that we went from hydraulic pumps from low lift pumps. It might have been a good deal in Florida, I don't know. But I tell you what, over here is not a good deal. And many of those pumps, the hydraulic pumps, cost thousands and thousands of dollars for repairs. And Mr. Barnes is right. Him and I walk levees together at night when it was raining. And I'm not the only one that did that. Those other people worked with us that did the same thing. So he deserves it just like everybody else deserves a little raise. Now, as far as the HR person, she wants to go to 40 hours. If she, I don't check a time card, but I'm not a supervisor, but I'll look at it. If she cheated on time, I'll fine it. So, but I mean, besides that, everybody deserves a raise. And when you take the money out of one department and we gotta pay bills, we gotta find it from somewhere. And we have obligations to pay. In other words, y'all can take money out all y'all want, but we're gonna have to end up paying bills. So no matter what y'all do, those bills gotta be paid because we have obligations to do it. And as far as Mr. Barnes, he deserves every penny of it, and everybody else will put up for it.
Mr. Jacuzzo?
Well, first of all, as a professional, the debating over the justification of your performance, when you take a department job, you work 24/7, that's an expectation of your job. And whatever the compensation is on the front end of your job, you get it at the front end because we don't know what you're going to get paid in the back end. The other thing is, Shane, do you know what is the CUBA standard or the medium of the HR director salary in this, that would be nationwide or in the southeastern coast area from Texas to maybe going up to South Carolina?
The median on, or the average on the human resource director is $86,223.
And that would be the midpoint.
Correct.
The other thing that, when I was looking at this, is the council approved a 2% raise for all of the employees, if I'm correct. Why wouldn't this position just only encompass the 2% raise instead of an adjustment, or does this encompass just the 2%? Where if we are looking for money, because I agree with Mr. Lasang, I know we're going to have problems with the jail and the legal expense. I know we're going to have other problems, but does that 2% is on top of this, or this is actually calculated of the 2% raise that all of the staff is getting?
Mr. Abady?
This is independent of the 2% COLA raise.
So that-
However, the thing that really I think is getting lost in the discussion here is the real raise in pay is about 65 cents an hour.
Right, I looked at that, and I also looked at the increase of the 5 hours making her 40. I saw that also, which was the difference, so I understand that number in there. But I just wanted to know what the medium is, because we're below the medium, and I also wanted to know if she was going to receive her 2%. So y'all satisfied that for me. Thank you.
And the median on Public Works was $75,454. And I'm the compliance officer. Y'all, I'm just doing my job. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I don't mean to cause any issues.
Mr. Grow?
No, I want to say,
I have-
thanks, Shaney, for.
Hang
you
on
know,
a second, Mr. Barnes.
for the facts that she brought, but the facts I'm looking at is, this is a HR director, and I think all of is she paid hourly? Yes. Okay, so she has to clock in and clock out, and is paid on in reflection of a timesheet. So, all we're voting on is a 69-cent an hour raise, is what we're voting on. And she has the ability to work up to 40 hours a week now versus 35. So a lot of things that we need to get back to the facts of what we're voting on for this issue right here, in my opinion, you know. And I think for an HR director that's been here and doing a good job, I'm sure they had a lot of work over the last 3 years with insurance. I think 69 cents is not out the question for an increase.
Mr. LaFont?
I think he was on before.
No, I didn't see you. Oh, Mr. Melvin, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think every now and then, especially during insurance times and other times where we have issues in direct relation to the employees, it'd be nice to see her here at a meeting every now and then, because finance is here, DPW is here. I mean, you know.
Mr. LaFont?
I'm just gonna reiterate one thing. We just went to the voters for a tax raise because we didn't have no money. How does it look to the people that we're giving raises?
Mr. Perilou?
You know, just last year, the school board put up a tax for an increase for teachers that was shot down as well. I don't think now is the time for something like this. I think it's based on more individual merit than just across the board, or everybody deserves a raise. I understand that, but if you're out there on the front line every day, going out in the rain in your boots every night, whenever people are calling you, I think that is a merit for a raise versus, you know, someone sitting in an office doing a good job, which I would hope all our employees are doing.
Mr. Cantrell, are we funded? Is the solid waste funded for 19? Is everything funded for 19, Mr. Lasang?
Everything's funded, everything's balanced, and hopefully there will be enough to make budget amendments to make the 2% COLA raise. It would be right now. After the budget amendments, after all the dust settles, then we'll finally know.
So had the voters approved the tax, where would that money have been needed?
Well, then you'd have money available. You wouldn't have to take money from different funding sources like y'all are doing tonight, like for recreation, for the bathrooms. That could have come from recreation and or royalty, because royalty could be used anywhere. And you could do drainage projects, could have another pump that Mr. Jones's pump would have been easily fundable, which, I mean, it doesn't look like royalties can go up much next year, but you never know. At least it's quit going down. That's the good thing about it. So we have some stability. Sales taxes have increased a little up to buy, stabilized down to buy. So the revenue side is pretty, I don't say good, it's good because it's calmed down and not, you don't have to guess as much. It's more stable, let's put it like that, even though it's a low. And next year is going to be another problem, but it would be fundable, but it all comes out of royalty. And you don't have that royalty was like discretionary funds that could go to discretionary projects. You know, as you know, the road sales taxes pretty much get eaten up every year. Solid waste is obviously eaten up every year. But you could fund it with royalty, but right now it needs $2 million in funding, and you need the $2 million. That's all you have in royalty. So that's gone. So you basically everything's operating on an edge.
The only thing I'll add is I've asked for the HR director to attend meetings because there was a particular issue going on, or and I was told no. I was told no, it can't happen. For whatever reason, well, actually, I wasn't told no. She just didn't show up, and I wasn't told anything. Our department heads, I mean, I see finance here tonight. That would be great if they were here. Not every meeting, but at least, well, when a council member asks, because this has nothing to do with the HR person. This has to do with, I think, Mr. Cantrell, who said she didn't need to come. As far as Mr. Barnes' raise, and if I remember correctly, Mr. Barnes, there was an error in Mr. Barnes as well as Mr. Burrow's pay when it was initially adopted by council and accepted by the employees. But let me just say about Mr. Barnes, he should probably get a raise just for how much he's got to deal with me. I have a district that has a lot of issues, and when I tell you, there is not 2 days that go by when I'm not on the phone with them, when he's not in my district, when he's not working to solve a problem for my residents. I wouldn't want that job, Mr. Barnes. I don't know how that compares with the HR director, whoever. I just know you're not paid enough, just with my just knowing what you do for me. So I want to thank you for that. I think even if this raise passes, if the raise passes for you, you're still underpaid. Anyone else? All right, y'all ready to vote? 15.
Shane, want to speak on 16 as well? Done. Want to make sure, come back.
Item fails. 6 to 3. What's that, Mr.? So, item fails 7 to 2. 2-7. Item fails 2-7 with OTAN voting yes. Wait a second. Could that be possible that we're having, I don't,
understand at all how that
can you clear it and let us vote again? Because they're saying there's an error with their vote. I don't understand how that can happen. Well, all nays, let's just do roll call. Let's start with Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Lafont. Mr. Perilou. Mr. Jacuzo. Mr. Melvin. Nay. Mr. Otan. Okay, where are we, Miss Carleen?
3 yeas and 6 nays.
3 yeas, 6 nays.
Mr. Otan, Mr. Grow, and Mr. Lorraine.
Otan, Grow, and Lorraine are yeas.
Correct.
Rest are nays. Item fails. Amendment number 16 to the 2019 proposed operating maintenance and capital budgets. Amendment to the ordinance to adopt the 2019 operations and capital budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Jones, second by Otan. Under the unclassified executive branch, employee salaries are set as follows. Change, Public Works Director, from $43,84615 hourly rate to $42,78885 hourly rate, from $3,230.77 biweekly salary to $3,423.08 biweekly salary, from $84,000 annual salary to $89,000 annual salary. Ms. Hill, did you need to speak on this as well? No, I covered it both ways. Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Otan.
Yes, I'll just say again that, I support all the employees, and certainly the directors. I know I have to make, just as Lucy does, I have to interact quite a bit with Mr. Barnes. And I'll, I'll just restate, in the fall of 2016, when we were going through budget crunch time, and we had kind of come to an agreement, members of the council, along with the administration, at this salary, which was ended up getting dropped because of the insurance, kind of went into disarray and things got postponed. So I think it's long overdue. I felt like we had all agreed on this quite some time back, but circumstances, because it affected the employees, kind of changed things a bit. But I'll continue to say that, I hope our morale comes up with our employees. I know there's been for a lot of reasons. The rate cut in terms of the number of hours was pretty brutal to everyone, several of which I'm really good friends with. So hopefully we change the tide. I know that, once again, this year we had the stopgap, and that's why a lot of these fundings we don't have, because we had to plug the holes in solid waste. The residents want a certain service, and we simply don't collect enough money for that service, for that dedicated service. So unfortunately, I don't think we got the word out good. I know my area, we did much better than other areas of the parish, but I think next year's going to be the same thing, and we're going to be trying to do a stopgap again, grabbing money from everywhere we can to try to plug the holes in solid waste, unless something drastically happens.
Mr. Melvin.
Yes, I think I will support this simply because for years, especially we here as a new council, every time we needed Mr. James, unless he was with another council member, he showed up night or day. All I had was to do was to make a phone call. Maybe I didn't always get the answer I wanted or needed, but he answered his phone. He came meet me at constituents' houses, boots on the ground, in the mud. We were both in the mud with knee boots. I just think that, granted, I wish we could afford to give everybody raises. I just find that when you're not only in the office, but you're in the field, and just whether you're in a levee, in a ditch, in the rain, last year it snowed. All I'm saying is, it's tough to do, but I think that some employees do need to be rewarded. There's no doubt, but it is government, and I just feel strongly about this because I've gotten the support when I needed it at times. So, thank you.
Mr. Perilou.
Yeah, I want to vouch for Mr. James too. Saturday, Sunday, it don't matter. The man doesn't work 35 or 40 hours. He works 100 hours a week most times. So I appreciate all the service you do for District 6. I know there's never been a time where I needed your assistance on a drainage issue or anything involving DPW that you didn't respond immediately and show up immediately. So I think you deserve everything that you're not getting right now. Thank you.
Any further Rose Parade and accolades for Mr. James? Let's get him out, because this is the, Mr. LaFont.
Well, James, I think you do a great job. I think you do, and my 7 years of being a parish councilman, you have been the best, what's your title, the Public Works Director. I think you've done the best. I think you do a great job. However, we just went to the people for a tax. And I'm having a hard time supporting something, for a tax, but I'm gonna take the heat on this one. Because I'm gonna tell you, without you, I think we'd have a lot more houses that would catch water in them. You're not an engineer. I think you're smarter than most engineers, especially if they work for the Corps. But, so I wasn't gonna vote for it, but sitting here for the last couple hours thinking about it, I don't know what this parish would do without you in these times. And I hope if, in the next year, if we do get a new parish president or whatever, if we keep the same one, I hope you stay on board. Because not only are you intelligent enough to figure out the situation, you're not afraid to pick up a shovel. So I'll change my vote.
Anything, James? Okay. All right, we ready to vote? Item passes 9-0. Congratulations, Mr. Barnes, and thank you for a job well done, always.
Thank you to all council members and the taxpayers of this parish.
G, ordinances for discussion.
Ms. Lucy got amendment. Amendment from the floor.
Okay. What you have, Mr. Jones?
Okay, you want me to read it for?
Tell me what it's, an oral amendment?
Amendment number 17, providing for legal fees for associated with civil service cases. As per the district attorney opinion 18-026. All right. Amendment number 17, 2000 to the 2019 proposed operating and maintenance and capital budget, providing funding for legal fees for employees associated with civil service cases, as per district attorney opinion 18-026. 001 general fund, correction 00142-300, decrease in miscellaneous account 00142-300-481001 in the amount of $30,000. 001 general fund civil service account 00141-506, increase in professional service account 00141-506-433011 in the amount of $30,000. I move on that.
Ms. Carleen, do you have any, do we need a second on it now? Second by Jacuzo. Ms. Carleen, do you want to explain anything or read from the charter? Please.
And of the Home Rule Charter, page 28, council amendments of the proposed budgets. The chair, or a two-thirds majority vote of the voting, the chair, or a two-thirds majority, 6 of the voting council members may allow a proposed oral amendment only after a showing of just cause as to why the amendment was not submitted in writing. An amendment shall be enacted when voted upon favorably by at least 5 members of the voting members of the council.
Mr. Jones, do you want to just explain this?
Just cause November 14 at 12 noon was the deadline to submit all budget amendments. This came in right around the deadline, and some discrepancy came up. So I think each of you got an attachment to all the emails and the district attorney opinion to the amendment. And this is the reason why that amendment came up. It came in right after the deadline, or right near the deadline.
So we need to take a vote, Ms. Carleen, to see if we'll allow it, or is this just,
Members have to be in agreement of allowing the oral amendment to come from the floor.
6 members have to
Six
be,
voting
so we do it before any further discussion. Hang on a second, Mr. Grow. So if you want to allow Mr. Jones's amendment to come, verbal amendment to come from the floor, that's a yes, and no is, means he can't bring it from the floor, and we'll just do a roll call. Lorraine? Yes. Lafont? Yes. Paraloo?
Yes.
Jacuzo? Yes. Melvin?
Yes.
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 Ota?
Yes.
Grow?
Yes.
All right, so 9-0. The item can be brought before the council. All right, so
Did we get a second? I don't have a second on that. I'm sorry.
Jacuzo seconded.
All right, thank you.
All right, discussion, Mr. Grow.
So this is just to put 30,000 in the budget. Then, I mean, we had DA opinions on, it was brought to our attention by an ex-employee, which kind of started this, I assume. So you're just asking to put 30,000 in the budget to be parked there in case we want to approve it. And this wouldn't be would this be the same fund as we reimburse the parish president, somebody in public works, somebody in maintenance? I mean, I'm just trying to get my head around this. Still another step to
Yeah,
distribute the money.
this fund was not set up when it paid to the parish president. But I think all agree, except myself, that we should have waited until we got every case situated to actually put it in the budget. And if you read the amendments, one client case that already came up, they refused to pay. So this way we put it in the civil service. If the client wins their case, the civil service board can request the administration to pay.
I'm just concerned anybody can take something to civil service. Having served on the City of Thibodeau Civil Service Board, I mean, there's a full agenda every time you go to a meeting. A lot of them were with the police that I had to sit through, so they had their own representation through the Fraternal Order of Police. These people would not have their representation if you a maintenance worker. So you want to have some civil service deal, just hire a lawyer and expect the parish to, I mean, who's going to be the judge and jury on that? Us?
No,
On who distributes the money?
the case is case by case, Mike.
And then back in that room right there, executive session, because we wouldn't be able to discuss that out here.
Well, the civil service will make the requests and either come to the council or go straight to the administration. The money's going to be in the civil service budget. Now, this is not for Tom, Dick, and Harry walking on the street filing a civil service case. This is for attorneys.
Did this come with guidance from like the...
Right?
Right.
You mean when an
If they win
employee
their
files an
case,
appeal and they
right.
win their case against?
Right.
No, but, well, Nooney's saying
doesn't
or
state
lose.
that.
You mean win?
Huh?
Nooney said or lose.
No, not lose. If they win their case.
It doesn't say that, though. And
Well,
I mean, that's something down the line. You're just trying to build a fund.
This is, build a fund, but this, I'm going by the district attorney opinion, 18026.
Did you get an opinion from the Civil Service Board on what
No,
their thoughts are
no.
on this or something?
Did not.
Did
I'm
anybody
just
talk?
going by the district attorney opinion, that legally, or perhaps everybody should get paid if they ran their case.
The district attorney opinion I read said it may, but is not required to use public funds, so it's our discretion.
Well, it's more than fair if we paid the parish president and the employees is the same way. We can't leave them out.
I hesitate to even mention this because I don't want to get caught up in any particular case, but I will. And hopefully I just get slapped in the hand. There's people that have won their case on something that I call a technicality. You do something wrong or that's illegal in the state of Louisiana, but you're not fired by the right person and win that case, I think that wouldn't happen in my company. You'd be dismissed.
Mike,
And no, So we're gonna reimburse somebody
Your-
for,
Your
that's what
company.
I'm saying, you know,
Your company, we talking about fruit cocktails and to what I'm saying, that we got a lady that won her case, appealed, came back to work. It's more than right that we pay her attorney fee.
That's one case. That's one case.
Well,
that-
that's the only
that
one
you be-
that's-
No, that you believe that we should reimburse, but what I'm saying is, there's been cases that I've heard or that I've sat through that people won. I mean, I'll mention it because Mr. Barnes is here now. He had a serious case in the past that could have racked up way more than probably $30,000. I don't know what he spent. But if it keeps getting continued and things like that, you could rack up some major bills on one person, and I don't feel that I should be the one doling out that kind of money.
Well, I didn't feel that we should have paid the parish president either. Was fair is fair. You know, everybody's equal. You know, he was able to $8,500. And there was no discussion. I voted against it. But it should have been for everybody.
Do you know of any other municipalities or government that does this for other than executive staff?
It's, actually, when it came up here, it's the first time that it happened in Lafourche Parish. I don't know, I don't think the past parish president got paid. Nobody I know about got paid in the past.
People have won civil service cases that I feel were on a technicality, was the point I was making. Because the wrong person let them go in terms of a chain of command, and if they happen to have a lawyer involved.
This came up going by the emails, and you got it in your package, every email. This lady actually won her case, Mike. Not a technicality. She came back to work, and she moved out of the parish, out of the state. And she requested to be paid for her attorney fees. I don't know how much the attorney fees is, you know?
All right, Mr. Melvin?
Yes, I just wanted to explain, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not a lawyer, but for the public who are watching this and wondering what we're talking about, just imagine, people have heard the term frivolous lawsuit. So let's say parish fires an employee, that's a civil service employee, and that civil servant appeals, we have a hearing, and the employee wins their job back, but had to pay cash money out of their own pocket to pay for an attorney, which they're not cheap. The parish is paid for by taxpayer dollars. What happens is, if something was done wrong, or if the employee not just was improperly fired, but didn't deserve to be fired, for instance, that's happened as well, then that employee had to dig in their pocket. They're hard-earned money, what they feeding their family, paying their bills, paying their car note, their rent, house note, lights, etc. They're not going to get that money back, but they had to pay for it to get their job back. So that's what we're debating here, is that should the parish help these employees who were fired and then got their job back because, not necessarily on a technicality, but, so I just wanted to make sure they understand.
Mr. Cantrell, would you like to say anything on this? Mr. Abady? Anyone else? Mr. Jones, you had more?
No.
All right, Mr. LaFont?
The only thing, Jones, that concerns me is that we opening ourselves up as a parish government to a lot of liability. Look, do I think she needs to get paid? I do. But I think if we start setting sides around, no telling what's gonna happen. I just hate to see the parish get in a bind, and I'm with Mike on that. Louisiana has the right to fire, but I understand civil service works under different rules than we do. But I think, like Michael said, we over a technicality, the wrong person actually handling the letter can cause them to win their appeal. I'm just concerned about that. I just don't want to have to open ourselves to, more litigation by doing this, and so it'd be hard for me to really support it. But I understand your point. I think it's a great one. I think it's, that particular employee that's stable to this, I think she deserves the money, but I don't think I could support this one.
Mr. Cantrell, let me ask you, do you think this amendment should pass?
I didn't have much time to think about it. You have some good points on both sides. When the district attorney files a lawsuit, tries to convict somebody, sometimes they're innocent. Nobody pays their money back. I mean, it's just, you have good points on both sides, but it's hard to say.
But you did make the request for yourself to be paid back.
Well, sure, because
when-
I was falsely accused, you know.
Okay, so if an employee feels like they're falsely
Well, of course,
terminated
they
or
have
targeted
that
or
for
whatever.
that's for the for the administration. In other words, I got a couple of them that's falsely accused, and I probably gonna be getting some more for their pay, because we'll see what happens.
Okay. Mr. Jacuzo, let the record show Mr. Otas stepping out at 7:13.
Mr. Jerry, what you think prevents the employee that had won their position to just personally take a civil litigation action against the parish for reimbursement? Instead of us creating a fund, she can or he can just simply sue the parish and say, I was wrongfully terminated, I had these expenses occurred, and I'm going to sue the administration for that. Or did she do that, or that she's tapped out that she couldn't? But I mean, I know litigation can occur in anything, but at the same time, if you wrongfully accuse or something, you can just simply sue that individual in court too.
Yeah, Mr. Jacuzo, and I don't know if she tapped out, but this came about when Mr. Cantrell requested payment from the council. So, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. Everybody should be paid.
Right.
If he wouldn't have brought it out, probably we wouldn't be here discussing this right now.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry.
Mr. Lasang.
In the civil service proceedings in the past, employees have been awarded by the Civil Service Board their fees, and they were paid. I can name some specifics, I'm not going to put names, but they have been paid. She was not awarded attorney fees. I don't even think she asked for attorney fees, the person they're talking about. But in the civil service proceedings, if they ask for the fees, the Civil Service Board can say yes and award them, and the parish pays them. And we've done that in the past. And that's all this, but this was not the case here.
Anything further? All right, we ready to vote? What's that? Item fails.
No.
I mean, item,
Voted nay.
what's that? Okay, is something, oh, wait a second, it's, y'all can't change how that's showing up, right? Is it different from how y'all voted? All right, okay. So, roll call. Mr. Lorraine? No. Hang on a second. No Lorraine, no LaFont. Terrell? No. No. Jacuzo?
No.
No. Melvin? Yes. No.
Yeah.
And Nooney's out, so item fails.
2 yeas.
2 yeas,
6
with
nays.
Jones and Sposito being yeas. 6 nays and no, yeah,
And out of the one out.
and 1 out of the room, OTAN, at the time of vote. Okay, we're gonna just do the next 2 sections and then take a little break, so just hang on a few minutes. G, ordinances for discussion and ratification. 13, ordinance to adopt the 2019 operation and capital budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Can someone move on that for me? Moved by Lafont, second by Melvin. Budget public hearings were held at the 11/13/18 LPC meeting and 11/14/18 special meeting. All right, so that was moved by Lafont, second by Melvin. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
I'm just curious on that. It says ordinance to adopt 2019 operation and capital budget. Shouldn't it put as amended? No, it's like, that's how it's always been? Okay, just checking.
All right, Mr. Lorraine, you okay? You made a face. You okay? Okay, I don't know if I trust this thing right here. Let's, what do y'all think? All in favor? Let's all in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Wait, are you opposed or you? No, I'm for. Okay, so item passes 9-0. Whew. Amen. H, public hearing and ordinances for ratification, opened by Lafont, second by Paraloo. Number 14, ordinance approving a residential property lease agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Chuck Como and Elizabeth Como for property acquired through the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Lafont, second by Lorraine. Any comment from the public? One time, two times, three times. Any discussion from the council? Being none, all in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed? Mr. Daniel, are you for or against? Okay, so all was in favor was all, right? No nays. Item passes 9-0. Can I get a motion to close public hearings? Moved by Otas, second by Jones. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is closed now. Let's take a quick 10-minute break.
They want local agencies such as this to regulate that. With them still being under state statute, they have to follow all what the state, whatever's passed is a state statute. In other words, they can't do it independently of that, if you follow me.
So my next question, if they do come underneath the parish, and they do come up with a law or a suggestion, does it still have to come in front of the council?
They already do. They already do. That's what's crazy about it. So they already do that, and they come to us. Since we've been here, we've made, I think now they can't shoot within a certain distance of the camps. We passed that up here. But they're caught in between because they don't know who to report to. And it was really, it was set up by the state legislature, so they kind of are a state board.
Right.
So it's just it's a kooky thing that they're just trying to get resolution on.
Anyone else? Are we ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. '29, resolution reappointing 2 members to the Veterans Memorial District of Ward 10 Board. Mr. Lafont, who do you have?
There was 2 applicants, Larry Richmond and George St. Pierre, like to nominate both of them.
Mr. Lorraine's going to second those nominees. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 30, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the State of Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services and Lafourche Parish Government assisting low-income families to obtain benefits from the Department of Children and Family Service Program, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Paraloo, second by Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 31, resolution approving an agreement between Duplantis Design Group, PC, and Lafourche Parish Government for architect design services for the Thibodeau Branch Library additions and renovations project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Lorraine, second by second by O10. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Yeah, I have some
Mr.
discussion.
Lorraine?
The director, do you want to come up? I want you to tell all this council how much money we got in that building after this is completed. First of all, I want to say, well, I'm going to say some other stuff. Go ahead.
Laura Sanders, 212 Belmead Boulevard, Thibodeau. I don't have those figures right in front of me. We've spent a good bit of money, yes.
A good bit. Would 10 million sound sufficient?
No, I think that's too high.
Not much.
I wasn't here.
I was here.
I know you were. I wasn't here when the building was purchased. I know
Well-
the building was purchased for more than it was,
Right.
yeah.
And it was never really evaluated. They
There
never
was-
did
there
do
was-
anything. It's 2.1 million for a piece of junk. We changed the roof. We changed everything you can change.
Yeah.
No parking.
We have
And-
parking across
and-
the street, but.
And I
yeah.
made a statement the other night, and Mr. Harvey, he was deceased, he opposed it. He was the only one that opposed it. I'm going to go with it, but I just want to make a point. We keep putting money in the same building. We could have built 2 buildings, brand new, for that price, and we still located in the city, and we still don't have no parking. And you're not going to have much more parking with this. They want to spend $4 million?
About?
4 million. So then the council and some of the other people can't say that they got a bunch of money. So we're gonna spend 4 million into a building that should have never been bought. But that's what they wanted, that's what they got. Getting to the engineer, exactly what I said 2 months ago happened. There was some work done on Corey's library and Lucy's library and somebody else, and they were supposed to, the planners was gonna get the job. Then all of a sudden, the planners didn't get the job. The administration wanted to share it, okay, which made sense. Not you, okay? So guess what? You know how they shared it? It went to one architect. One architect. And the planners pulled out a little $200,000 job because he knew he was going to get a $4 million job. That was all done behind the closed doors. Yeah? The point I'm trying to make is that all this was supposed to be shared and none of it got shared. One architect picked up 3 projects. He even had the project. He pulled out because he said, man, just put back that 200. Anybody with some brains is, I'm going to give you back 200 if I can pull up 4 million. And that's exactly what I said happened. That's what happened. Now, you figure that one out. That's what happens when you hit, they tell you something over here, they tell you, and then they go behind closed doors and it changes. That's what happens.
It wasn't the library board or myself that chose
No,
the architect.
not you.
That was the parish president, that's his.
And look, no hard feelings. I'm going to vote for the
I
planners.
just wanted to make sure that you all
The
were
only
aware of
reason
that.
why I'm going to vote for the planners is because the library board went ahead and supported, but this administration stuck their nose and then they start doing all kind of stuff. And then one guy ended up with the projects that they were supposed to share. That didn't happen. And then this guy was supposed to get a share. He said, no, I don't want that one. So he gets the big one. So that's the ironing of the story. And I'm going to vote for it because I'm the liaison and y'all voted. The only one voted no was Mr. Harvey.
That is correct.
And I hope he rests in peace because he's gone. A week later, the man was gone.
If I could address something that Mr. Lorraine said at the very beginning. Yes, we have put a lot of money into a building that, to be quite honest, the library board didn't want to begin with. But it was the library that was given to us and what we were told we had to use. We put a lot of money into that. And one of the options that the library board looked at was, let's just scrap all of that. Let's scrap it, let's get more land, let's build a new building, let's build what we wanted to build originally years ago. I wasn't for that. As much as I would love to have a new building, and my board agreed with me, we would have been bad stewards of the people's money by having put all this money into this building, and then now we're just going to throw it away and start fresh. We just didn't feel that was the correct thing to do. And so that's the reason we've been trying to live with the building that we were given, knowing that we are completely out of space in that building.
When you're going to add all this up, you might have wished you'd have got another building.
We did look.
Because you've
and
done, now you're going into plumbing. God knows what you're going to hit there.
We looked at buying land right near where we had it originally purchased years ago before I was director. We got an architect. We put numbers down. That would have been $9 million to start over. We don't have $9 million, and we did not feel that it was appropriate to go to the people to ask them for more money.
I just want you to do one thing.
But I respect what Mr. Lorraine is saying.
Once this thing is completed, I want you to come back to the council and give us the total bill.
Yes,
And it's
sir.
not going to be far from 10 million.
We'll be happy to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Lafont?
So, my question is this, you said $9 million to build a new one. What are y'all building, the Taj Mahal?
No, but by the time you buy land, because land is not cheap around Thibodeau, by the time you build land and then you build parking and the building itself, that's the amount that we were given.
I think that's on the bit high side. They built that massive hospital, and I bet you if you fraction the cost down, it wouldn't cost that much for that size that y'all building. I just can't see spending that much money. Y'all going to do $4 million improvement on this particular facility. Is that what you're saying?
About, not quite, but yes.
I just can't support spending $4 million on a building. Mr. Jimmy's building a whole parish recreation center for right around that price. I know it's in Lockport, but, right outside of Lockport. But, I just can't see that kind of money being spent on a library, in one particular area. I think you'd have been better off doing like y'all did down the bay and buying a old Walmart or something and refurbishing it, because I don't think that cost nearly $9 million.
And I know that that's what the board wanted to do originally. That's what, they weren't given that option. It was taken out of their hands by
Yeah, but
our
I'm talking
previous
about
parish
now.
president. Now there's not anything to buy.
There's gotta be something to buy. I just think you could have sold the building, made you some money, put that towards it.
And we talked about that too. And in this economy, we didn't know how long we'd be sitting on that building.
Yeah, well, I just can't see spending, $4 million on an addition. I think you can build a Taj Mahal for $4 million. Somebody's getting some deep cuts if y'all building something adding on for $4 million.
And that would be a question, I think, for a Duplantis Design Group, because they're the ones that gave us the cost.
All right.
Let the record show Councilman Jacuzo walked out at 7:46 and back in at 7:48. Mr. Melvin?
Yes, so you answered one of my questions. So it wasn't this council, this administration. I was in favor of the old Walmart building myself, like we did in
That's
Galliano.
correct. It wasn't this council or
Plenty
this
of room,
administration.
plenty of room. I agree with Mr. Lorraine on that, but
Yes,
like me,
I
Mr.
agree.
Lorraine is not the parish president, and the parish president is within his rights, as per the charter, to choose engineers he wants, correct?
That is his job, not
Okay,
mine or
so-
the library board.
And look, my last suggestion, if y'all want to build a new library, come in District 4. We got plenty of room in District 4.
Thank you.
Mr. Jacuzo?
So the building's not built and really no money spent because you don't have it, or renovations. So let me ask you this. Nickel State University has the largest library in North Lafourche and in this region. What about anything about before you building or recreating, maybe consider talking to the university and working with them? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I know the university is going through major renovations with their library, and maybe join the two public institutions in Thibodeau and have that attraction if you're looking, instead of being independent, out and use those resources with two. I think our administration might be open to that.
I don't know that I can legally do that with the public funds that were set aside and dedicated to the library system, but I understand what you're saying.
Just an idea. We
Right,
have Ellen
and I
Hall.
understand that, and I know you've been to the university library. The public library is very different.
I'm aware of the structure of them. I'm just looking at partnering, saving money, and putting those resources together and increasing population on a university setting,
Right.
and possibly providing resources to the public that may not ever be on a university, and work in those two areas. But I just brainstorming.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. The library does have the money to do this. And when we collected money to build the buildings, and we got the Thibodeau building, we had money left over for buildings. What we're trying to do is to spend the money that the people gave us for the purpose of what they gave it to us for. We have run out of room at every branch. We are chock-a-block full, and we just don't have any more room. I respect every one of you up here, and I respect whether you agree with my opinion or whether you disagree with this. We're growing, and that's fantastic, but I need a place to grow. We have the money. We don't have to go out to bond. I don't have to raise more taxes. The board they chose to do one story and not two because they felt like more money was too much. The board is trying to be good stewards of the money, and they're trying to spend the money in the way that the people gave it to us to do.
I see someone from Duplantis. You want to step up, state your name and address for the record, please?
Stephen Viggory, Duplantis Design Group, 314 East Bayou Road. I guess relative, what I want to talk about is the budget for the project, and the number of $4 million is being thrown around. The budget we prepared from a construction cost standpoint, furnishings and fixtures inside the building, and structural upgrades relative to having a raised addition to maintain the existing parking is $2.6 million is what our current estimate is. When you add in the soft costs of the design fees, geotechnical engineering, surveying, and the other soft costs required to design the project and get it to the street, it's $3.25 million. So it's considerably less than $4 million. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Lafont?
So you just said that all the libraries need to be built bigger.
Yes, we've run out of room in every one of them.
So why are we spending $4 million on one instead of spreading it out throughout the whole parish?
We are spreading out. You all already passed a renovation for other branches that we are working on that Mr. Daniel alluded to earlier that Richard Weimer's group got. The last one that we need to look at is Lockport. We haven't forgotten Lockport. They have a good branch right now. They're not as dire as some of the other branches. That's why they were last on the list, but we are looking at them as well. We're not putting all of our money, all of our eggs into one basket. We have spread it around to what we can do. I can't physically add on big areas to some of these branches because there's not land that is owned to be able to do that.
Go up.
The buildings, we've looked at that. The buildings, and we even looked at that for Thibodeau itself. The buildings were not constructed originally to allow going up. One of the things that we're looking at with this Thibodeau project is that it will be retrofitted so that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when we need to look at more space, it will be retrofitted so we would be able to go up if we needed to at that time. Trying to think ahead and not just build for right now without any idea or thought to the future.
Right, and you also said that, I don't know exactly how you said it, but something about being good stewards and spending the money because the people, for the people. Wouldn't it be a good idea, instead of spending the money, you maybe use it a little bit wiser, not spend it on a $4 million improvement of a building, and maybe rolling back taxes, where that way if we ever have to go back and we get a drainage problem, we might need drainage problem. You know, we could, might be easy to get some money.
We haven't rolled forward, and we are one of the only entities in the parish that has given money back and millage back when we didn't need it anymore.
Yeah, but there's still room to roll back taxes. I know y'all haven't rolled forward, but the budget in 1990 and the budget today has always increased except for the last couple of years, so.
Because materials increase.
Right, so I just think that rolling back would be a better idea than spending $4 million on an improvement. That's my point.
Okay, Mr. Perilou.
I think we just learned a major lesson about rolling back taxes here a couple of weeks ago, right? Trying to get it back after rolling it back is pretty impossible. In the digital age, Why are you busting at the seams in the libraries? Aren't you, okay.
That's a great
I'm guilty.
question.
I haven't been there in a little while, but it seems like there would be an opportunity to offer more library resources digitally instead of having to add on the buildings.
Right. That's a great question, and that's a question that's asked often. First off, we are constantly adding to our digital resources. In fact, we just added RB Digital to give a larger amount of e-audio books because we find that that is just, really going gangbusters. Libraries, public libraries have changed so much over the last 20 years. Libraries are not just repositories for books. They're actually community centers. What we have in our libraries and what I'm trying to make more of are play areas for children. Areas where they can come in, they can learn language, they can boost their reading comprehension. We can get in some of those reluctant readers. We can get kids off the streets. This is a free place for people to come to meet, for kids to play. We do have a wonderful children's museum in Thibodaux, and I personally love it, but that costs money. And, some of our families in our communities have hit some hard times. They can't go to those places, but they can come to the library and play with those Thomas Train tables. They can come to the library, and there's a kids' movie on, and they have felt boards, and they can do pretend play, and moms, dads, grandmas, babysitters can be right there knowing they're safe. And we've manifested into something more than just a place to hold books. So when you vote for the libraries, you're not just voting for books, you're voting for community centers, places where families can go.
Okay.
That answer your
Makes
question?
sense. Yep, thanks.
Mr. Grove.
I was just going to ask, the other libraries that need attention, is it adding square footage, or is this the only one?
We are adding square footage to Raceland. In fact, the survey was done today to see how much we can add. We are adding a computer lab at Gaines because we find that that is what Gaines communities need more than anything, are more computer spaces. I'm also taking down in 3 of the branches an office wall, an interior office wall. I'm taking my people out of the office and I'm making that more floor space and more computer space for kids. So where I wasn't able to physically go out, I'm taking out walls inside, making my people work their stuff elsewhere so that we can make that square footage for children.
Right. And I was just going to mention, I have a little one. I was telling Miss Laura, I was there last week. They had a guy with animals. It was a fun, interactive deal. They might have had 30 kids in there and their parents, and the guy was whipping out snakes and rats. All kind of animals with him. And he's coming back. I've been there where they have a drum lady that was in Stomp, the Broadway play. Doing these drum demonstrations at the libraries and traveling around. It's packed. You walk in Thibodaux, there's always kids at the computer right there. It is a digital age, but people can't afford computers. You go, there's a ton of kids coloring, playing with the little board she's talking about, and when you hook a left around the back, every computer, when I go, is packed with adults in to get to like the audio-video section. It blows me away because I've been in Nichols Library. You can shoot a shotgun in there. I don't know, maybe the college students study at home, I guess, but it's amazing to see how many people at least the Thibodaux branch, and I know they are running out of square footage, and they do have parking, but that parking lot does fill up as well,
And that's one of the reasons why the board opted to build up above the staff parking so that we weren't losing parking places. We talked about building in the parking lot where patrons would park, but then where are the patrons going to park? So that was the reason that we were looking at building up so that we could keep staff parking. Yes, I think we're going to lose 2 places. But then all of the parking for the patrons is still there. It would also allow for the adults to go into the new wing and let the children be downstairs, let the adults go up that want a little bit of quiet.
Mr. Lorraine.
In all fairness to the director and the board, they did roll back some millages a few years ago.
We did.
Not many other organizations have done that, but they have. And only thing I'm going to caution you on, when is the next election for the library?
This is, I believe, the first year of 10 years. So we have another 9 years before we need to go back to.
You better be
people.
glad you got 9 years, because the last election, it passed by very little. And once you lose Paul Chiquette, you're gonna lose plenty. And you said that y'all didn't bond the money out. You're right. But when Paul was in charge, he built all the libraries without bonding out
That's
any
correct.
money.
He did, and that's what I meant.
And he's a
Everything was
very
built without
conservative
that.
guy, whether you like him or not.
He is.
He's the one that should be thanked for all those new libraries in this parish.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. I agree with that.
And I'll always support our libraries. I'm always having a love fest with our libraries. Y'all do a great job running them. You can walk in any of them at any time. They're run well. They're enjoyed by people throughout the parish, and the board does a great job, and I believe you all are using the money wisely. So thank you for all that y'all do.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything else? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 8-1 with LaFont being nay. 32. Resolution approving the social services contract, community services block grant fiscal year 2018 through 2020 between the Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, grantor, and Lafourche Parish Government, Office of Community Action, sub-grantee, to receive and administer the Community Services Block Grant, CSBG, funds to provide assistance to low-income families in Lafourche Parish in accordance with state requirements, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Paralew. Second by? Oh, Mr. Paralew, who seconded it?
Yeah,
O-Town.
based on a conversation I had, I understand that there will be a meeting coming up for, Community Action Board, right? Mr. Jones?
That's a meeting scheduled for tomorrow.
Okay, and I also understand that this resolution and the next resolution has to be ratified by the board before the council can ratify it?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to defer 32 and 33 till next
Okay,
meeting.
like, can someone pull their second?
Armin?
You need to pull a second, right?
You pull your second so I could defer it for 2 weeks?
Good morning. You.
Okay, so, yeah, so these are the ones that have to be, because they're CSBG, they have to be recommended by the board. Is that 100% accurate?
That's what
That's been said, and then it wasn't, then somebody came back. I'm confused on which ones are and which ones aren't.
CSBG has to go before the advisory board.
That's the one that has to.
Right.
The other one, the other stuff didn't have to, is that right?
Well,
None of that's on the agenda. They got one item on the agenda. And if you dig into the email, unless there were several emails going out, members of the board were not copied on that email. So I don't know what kind of meeting they're gonna have. I'd like to try to attend tomorrow. But I'm just saying, they have one item on the agenda, they got a prayer, they got one item by moving it, and they got to adjourn. That's it, if you looked at that email. This ain't on that meeting tomorrow.
I just want to know legally what my requirements are as the sponsor for this, because I don't want to vote on something that we don't have jurisdiction to vote on. That's my only concern.
it has to go before the advisory board.
Mr. O-Town, are you done? No? Yeah? Ms. Savoy?
Stacy Savoy, 511 Dax Place, Thibodeau, Louisiana. The contracts itself does not have to be approved through the advisory board. That is something that is approved by this council and signed off by Mr. Jimmy. Once those funds are approved, then we go to the advisory board and discuss the allocated amount of funds that's going out for direct activities.
Mr. Jones?
That always has to be before the advisory board. That's a tri-part board. This has to go before the advisory board.
Mr. Paralew, you had something else?
Yes. I talked to other agencies and I talked to the state as well.
Mr. Jimmy, do you have anything to add to that? I know they, Paralew sponsored it for the administration, so can you shed any light to it?
We're not giving any legal advice to the council. So if you want legal advice, I think you should have got that before.
No. I'm not asking you for legal advice. I'm just asking you, you're putting it before council because you think that this should be,
No, I don't think Miss Stacy knows. She already checked it out. So do whatever you gotta do.
It should, once this council.
do you have something in writing that shows?
Not from the state, but I'm sure you could call them
See,
tomorrow.
this is always going before
And
the advisory board
we
before.
trying to
Why
do
was that?
We trying to do things correct that wasn't
Okay, so you're
always
saying-
done correctly. And I've talked to other sponsoring agencies before I even contacted the state. I could have got Terrebonne Parish to come as well as Assumption and St. Charles Parish. What they
I
do
wish you could
is,
have got them to write a statement or something.
yes, the
but-
council is responsible for approving the grant, not the advisory board. If the advisory board say they're not gonna approve the funds, what's gonna happen? It's still gonna come before council, because they don't have those power. They don't have that power to approve the funds or deny the funds. That's done by this council. The power they have is to advise over the monies that's being spent in the community. So once this grant is approved, whatever is allocated from CSBG for direct activities going out to the community, not salaries, direct activities. That's what the board advise on. What we gonna do, how we gonna spend those fundings, and how much of the funding we gonna spend in the different areas that's broke down on the contract.
So the fact that I had Carlene check earlier to make sure it never just came before council, that was just, you saying it was done incorrectly before, that it
That's
that
been
it went to
done.
the,
Some of that stuff being going before the advisory board that shouldn't be going. They confirmed that with the LAHEEP grant. They confirmed that with CSLP grant.
yeah, but we got paperwork on the LAHEEP. We
That's
didn't
the
get
same
anything.
thing.
It didn't say CSBG though.
Hey, it's the council call. It's the council call. I'm doing my part by bringing it before the council.
Mr. LaFont?
I'm not saying who's right or wrong, but I can tell you that I'm getting pretty aggravated with them not meeting. 2 weeks ago, their excuse was that we were having a special meeting, they couldn't have a meeting, which, I gave the, resolution, the ordinance that passed, it's only if we're having a regular meeting they can't meet. So 2 weeks later, they still didn't meet. Now, Mr. Gross telling me that this is not even on there.
Nope, the only thing is on that resolution
So it's getting
is
pretty
to move it.
aggravating. Why would they be stalling if they don't want, we want this to happen? Why are they stalling?
This grant was supposed to be turned into to the state on September 30th.
They're having a meeting tomorrow,
That's not on.
and, and it could be brought up in the meeting. It has to go before the advisory board. All this stuff, every week, every 2 weeks, they come up here changing procedures. Procedures that have been allocated for CSBG for years. But all of a sudden, it's different. The advisory board plays an important part of the CSBG money.
They not playing important right now,
Well,
they haven't meet.
If you've been reading the email between the interim director and the chairman of the board, that has to be cut out, all this foolishness. Let the board do its job.
Let them have their meeting though, Jerry.
Well, they're gonna have their meeting. They've
it's not
scheduled
on
for
the
a meeting
agenda. Why
tomorrow.
didn't they put this on the
Mr. Jones,
agenda?
you're referring to some emails by the board and interim executive director? You're right about that. That foolishness does need to be cut out. Because look, all I'm doing is rendering my service. If the board president would get with me, running that agency to find out what needs to be on that agenda, we wouldn't have these problems. We wouldn't even have to come before this council arguing about stuff that shouldn't even be argued about. That disrespectfulness, not communicating with me, well, where you think we gonna get with
I
that?
called for a
We
question.
going nowhere. It's up to y'all. That's funds going to the community. Y'all call. Was due September 30th.
You're operating out of 2017 budget as of right now.
This grant was due
This grant.
September 30th.
Right now, you still got money in 2017
No,
and
Mr. Jones,
2018
I'm talking
budget.
about the grant that's on this contract. That was due September 30th, 2018.
I call for questions.
We're going to
Okay.
November.
You just called for question. We're gonna vote on it, sorry, Mr. Grow, if we get 6 yes, 6 yeas, and the discussion ends. All right, all in favor of ending discussion, right? Raise your hands, please. Aye. Who's, who's yays? Yays? To call a question, Jones called the question.
Well, of course.
So,
Are you a yea or nay?
I'm a nay.
You nay, 6.
All right, so we're going to question,
Discussion ends.
discussion ends.
Yes, this-
What was this, what was the count and who was what?
6 yeas. I don't know who the nays were.
6 yeas
Mr. LaFont, you, and,
with LaFont, Esposito.
yep, that's it. He was a nay.
Okay, 6-3. All right,
Let's go.
so now we're going to vote on, Mr. Jones, your light's on, you want to turn it off? All right, so we're going to vote on the item now. The light him up is not working tonight. I'm not sure I trust him. It's not, I'm not trying it anymore. What's that? Oh, what are you, you're deferring it, right?
We have a second.
Do you want to pull your second, Noonie?
We have to vote. There's no more discussion, there's no discussion, right? We have to vote. Question was called.
He called the question. The question is 32. He never got a second on deferring. Let's roll. No. He didn't pull it. He didn't pull it. He didn't pull it second.
He didn't pull a second.
He never pulled a second. He called question 32. Let's vote and prove this thing.
All right, we got to vote on it. Noonie
Come,
didn't
Mr.
pull
Chair.
his.
Mr. Perilou called for a deferral. You actually deferred the item.
And we asked Noonie to pull his second, and he did not.
The discussion was continuing, and then question was called to vote, you have to vote now.
And then you called the question.
My understanding is you have to vote now.
You called the question.
Question was to end the discussion.
The call to question is end the discussion, not to vote.
Call the question to end the discussion.
All right,
That's what you called for
pulling a
question.
second.
Notice what he said, he's not pulling a second, so.
Vote.
All right, we're going to raise your hands. I'm not using the board. All in favor? All in favor? Opposed is Lorraine, Jones, and Esposito. I don't, 6-3. Yeah, I'm a little bit,
Let me get my nay yeas though before we move on.
I'm concerned with this, just that it has not ever, it's always gone to, council. Michael, when you run in the meeting, you go ahead and say what you gotta do. But he called the question. 32. That was 32. 33. Resolution approving amendment number 1 to the fiscal year 2018, 10/1/2017 through 9/30/2019 Community Service Block Grant, CSBG, between the Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, and the Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, as the subgrantee to receive and administer the Community Services Block Grant, CSBG funds to provide assistance to low-income families in Lafourche Parish in accordance with state requirements, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Perilou. Am I looking for a second, or are you leaving it? Mr. Perilou?
I already moved
He already
on. I'm the
moved.
sponsor of it. But if nobody seconds it, then it goes nowhere, right?
No, I'm second.
Because if we pass one, we might as well pass them both to make sure that the fund is in place. And then Jerry, y'all could ratify it at the meeting tomorrow night. And I think it would be, at that point, I mean,
That's up for the board. I'm a liaison for the
Jones?
board.
Mr. Grow?
I was just gonna mention, when you're talking about meetings, 3 meetings ago, when they came here, it was mentioned that they thought they were breaking the rules, breaking the laws, and they didn't want to meet, they didn't want to listen to Mr. Boyd. I called Mr. Boyd the next morning, said, please meet. I don't think anybody's gonna go to jail over having a meeting. He said, I'll call a meeting, and I'm only voting, we're only having one item on the agenda, which is the thing about moving to St. Mary. Took forever to call a meeting. The meeting's called, that's the only item on the agenda. Just like I don't think they would go to jail for having a meeting or talking to Mr. Boyd, I don't think any of us gonna get in trouble for having this voted on tonight, when we're coming up on December. This has been months. Let's vote on this.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think the council chairman should call the state and find out if this is right or wrong.
We had he seconded, or we discussed?
Because you can't believe everything
We
that's
are
said up
discuss-
here.
Did we have a second?
I never heard a second, and I never heard him.
Did you second it?
Dies for lack of a
Otan
second.
second. No,
Okay.
Otan.
I think to get the truth, that the chairman, council chairman needs to call the state and let's find out who's right and who's wrong. Because all the years that I've been here, everything had to go to the advisory board, period.
Mr. Otan?
Yeah, and I understand that. So the state, this is an agreement with the state, so the state can say, well, we're not gonna abide by it because of their, so then it's on their plate. All we're doing is approving the agreement with the state. I mean, if the state says, we're not gonna give you these funds because you didn't do it right, then they don't give it. At least we approved that we did our
Well, we
part.
need to see who's telling the truth and who's lying.
State can sort it out. The state don't want, in my opinion, it's just my opinion. If the state don't want to grant it to us because we didn't do it right, then that's on them. But I've done my job for the people.
Okay, you done your job, but somebody's lying.
Mr. LaFont?
Oh,
All right, y'all ready to vote? All in favor? Raise your hands. Hands? Any opposed? Jones, Esposito, and Lorraine. Item passes 6-3. I'm not sure on it. 34, resolution approving a cooperative purchasing agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Jefferson Parish for the purchase of furniture for the new addition to the Thibodeau Library, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Lorraine, second by Otan. Any discussion?
are we buying this
Mr.
from
LaFont?
Jefferson? Yeah, I just want to find out if we're buying this from Jefferson Parish. Jefferson Parish what?
Laura Sanders, 212 Belmead Boulevard. No, sir, we're just piggybacking on the state contract that Jefferson Parish is allowing us to piggyback on so that we can get lower prices. We're not buying it from Jefferson Parish, we're just piggybacking on the contract. And the money that we are using for this was already given in the Duplantis amount. It's not additional money.
That's fine. I
It's-
just didn't know what the Jefferson Parish was, that's fine.
Yeah, just to piggyback.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anyone else? Okay, let's vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 35, resolution rescinding resolution number 18-250 that accepted the low quote of the Low Lift Pump Company, Inc. in the amount of $36,170 for parts needed to repair the Drainage District 12, Sub-District 2 Lake Drive Pump Station, authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Paralew. Second by Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 36, resolution accepting the low quote of M&L Engine, Inc. in the amount of $38,237.13 for parts needed to repair the Drainage District 12, Sub-District 2 Lake Drive Pump Station, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Paralew. Second by Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 37, resolution approving a transfer of appropriation 18-006 in a total amount of $214,598 for the Heroes Park New Turf Project 15024 and the Heroes Park New Ball Park Project 18000 to the Old Heroes Park Lighting and Contouring Project 18069, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Jones, second by second by Otani. Discussion being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 38, resolution to renew the agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Services, Inc. to provide commercial, general liability, auto liability, public officials and employers liability, cyber and privacy liability, excess workers compensation, hull and P&I, marine pollution, aviation liability, and crime coverage as quoted, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement, any and all relevant documents. Moved by Grove, second by Paraloo. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 39, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Laurice Insurance Agency, LLC, to provide commercial property scheduled equipment, inland marine, and boiler and machinery coverage as quoted, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement, and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Gross, second by Otani. Discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 7-0. 7.
Yeas, 1 nay, Mr. Lorraine, and 1 abstention, Mr. Mayor.
7 yeas, 1 nay, Mr. Lorraine, 1 abstention, Mr. Melvin. Item passes. 40, resolution supporting the submittal of a 2018 Flood Mitigation Assistance Grant Program application to the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness for funding to elevate flood-prone homes throughout the parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Lorraine, second by Paraloo. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. All right, what you
We need to deviate back to public wishing to address.
Okay, can someone motion to deviate to public wishing to address the council? Moved by Melvin, second by Grow. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we're deviating back to public wishing to address the council. It's voted 9-0. Ms. Carleen.
Mr. Zeke Mathern, if you'd approach the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record, Mr. Mathern. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Zeke Mathern, 3554 Highway 1, Raceland, Louisiana. I want to thank Mr. Barnes for calling this morning, and my question is that y'all having and I call it St. Mary's Pumps. I don't know the real name for the pump. Prian?
It's the Cyprian pump, starts with a C.
Okay, Cyprian pumps. The problems we having right now that we haven't been consistent flooding. I don't know the design, I didn't hear anything or what. I know y'all putting 3 massive big pumps in that area. Y'all gonna dam off the 40 Orphan Canal. Mr. James said they're gonna put a temporary pump there to pump our area out besides going all the way to Butch Hill. Is the temporary pump gonna be temporary, or is it gonna stay there permanent till the job is complete?
Oh, it'll stay there till the job is complete.
Stay there. And who's gonna be the pump attendants there?
The same pumper that we have.
Same one that I've been there for 19 years. This time, in 19 years, I called the parish board 3 times this year, and I do realize that we had a lot of rain, record-breaking in Lafourche Parish. I go to the back, tell them, I said, the pumps are not on. They tell me the pumps are on. I live right there. I can hear when the pumps are on. When the pumps are on, you can see the canals there. I flooded 3 times. When the person that was running the pump before, the last 2 years, never made a phone call. So I think somebody needs to step up and find out. It's just not my area. I got other people land our lease and take care of and everything else. It's just been bad this year.
Yes, sir. And I do understand, Zeke, you and I have been knowing one another for a long time.
Yes, sir.
And I have some property that backs up to the same canal, okay? And really, I'm in a kind of a worse position than you are. Because sometimes the water on my property gets over the top of the fence post while the water is going to Butch Hill from the Terrio Canal.
Mm-hmm.
When it passes by the C-Prim, we do have the gate opening for the water to go to Butch Hill, which we're going to continue to have it open. And yes, sir, I do understand it has rained a lot. It's in the contract from the dam off and pour the concrete slabs in the bottom. But until them dams are removed, until the new pumps are running, them temporary pumps will be there.
And the person that be in charge of that would be the same guys that are pumping right now.
Yes, sir, but you also have to understand that the full-time pumper, works at night, running the pump, Monday through Thursday. The barn, the field office, the Raceland field office, is in charge of running that pump from 6:30 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. That's the way, our pumper situation is set up as we speak.
Okay.
So we have what we call part-time pumpers, and it's an opinion that comes from the Attorney General's office that, and the last administration addressed it. So the barns, each and every field office is having to work 40 hours a week running pumps. And, we're kind of doing the best we can with what we got. I think everything's been going okay. I stay in constant contact. I've talked to councilmen, constituents all the time. They call me and ask if the pumps is running. I get on the horn right then and find out what's going on, and I'll still continue to do that for you.
Well, the only problem I have is that, I hate to use the word too much, they're not telling me the truth because I'm there when I say the pumps are not running, and they're not running.
Yes, sir.
I just don't like that.
No, sir.
Just tell me if they're broken, fine. If they're not running, I'm gonna get somebody on it, but don't tell me they're running, because I can hear them.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's the only problems I have, and the only concern I had was that about that temporary pump.
Yes.
Because I know how temporary is. Right when we need them, they're gone.
No, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure on that pump.
You have my phone number down,
Yes, sir.
and you.
And I have somebody else's one too. It's pretty good to be retired now.
No, you can call me anytime, and I'll be there to help you.
Okay.
If that pump needs to be running and it's not running,
And
I guarantee you I'll be there.
Well, and be honest with you, I'm retired. If you need some help or whatever, I'll be glad to do it.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
I
And
appreciate
I-
that.
Thank
And the only reason I did this, because this is filmed, because I don't want that pump to disappear.
Thank you.
It's not.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you,
Ms.
Z.
Lucy.
Appreciate
Ms.
you.
Lucy, I have something on this.
Go ahead.
Mr. James, we had discussed, I have 2 or 3 pump stations in my district that doesn't have the float switches on them yet. And I think every pump station, or at least one pump of the set, should have one of those float switches on them in each location. Where are we? Because the last time we discussed it, you were going to approach, I think, the Drainage District 1 to help with their side, and maybe North Lafourche Levy District maybe to pitch in on their side. Can you update me on that?
Yes, sir. I have a meeting with them Monday, and with the North Lafourche side, and then I have it's probably going to be another Drainage District meeting that I'm going to approach him about just the Drainage District 1 area. But I totally agree with you. In stations that has multiple pumps, we need at least one on the automatic float, and CPRM has at least one pump that's on an automatic float. We've had some electrical problems on Bayou Falls. We try to use the electrical pump with the float. We've had some electrical problems at night, and then we don't catch it till early the next morning. Then they had to go out there and turn the pumps on manually. The manually operated pumps that need automatic switches, it's in dire need. It's in dire need.
Absolutely, because the time that it takes for a pumper to get to a pump after a heavy rain event, you know, that automatic switch could be doing a job.
It
and,
could be, yes,
helping the situation,
correct.
lessen the impact. So I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
But I'll just make a comment, as often said, lots of times, and the reason that I made the comment about, oftentimes constituents complain the pumps are not running, they're electric pumps, you're not gonna hear them. But I know I get that phone call all the time, and the automatic the ones with automatic flows generally are the electric ones, not the diesel ones. So the ones that are running are usually the ones you can't hear, so people get deceived by it. We have anyone else?
Sir. Miss Stacy Savoy, if you'd come to the podium, please, ma'am. State your name and address for the record. Ms. Savoy, please remember you have 3 minutes.
Stacy Savoy, 511 Dax Place, Thibodeau, Louisiana. I had a question about OCA general funds, the money that was decreased from the line item. That would have took away the executive director's salary, which isn't a big deal because CSBG funds is still available, probably not at that salary, but it's still available. But that prevents us from hiring a LAHEAP coordinator back at a full-time status. Because the LAHEAP program pays in stages of allocations, it doesn't pay the salary up front. So from my understanding, the money was put into general funds, the coordinator was paid, and then when the contract pays the money back, it went back to the parish. So if that money is no longer there, then I have to question how that person is gonna get paid.
I can answer.
Okay.
She get paid out of LAHEAP funds. LAHEAP, just 2 weeks ago, you said LAHEAP, CSBG had nothing to do with LAHEAP. And I told you that has to work together.
No,
Y'all came with a different scenario.
Hold on, Ms. Stacy.
You came with a different scenario. And I moved the money. You got 2 grants in a hole and you operating out of 2017.
No, LAHEAP
Hold
was,
on, Ms. Stacy.
You got over $500,000. You pay your employees out of that grant. I got people that's flooding, and I need money for pumps.
if I'm not.
So you changed everything. You changing everything in the 6 months. You have changed this thing completely around.
Mr. Jones, I'm not
Mr.
changing
Jerry,
anything around. I'm asking a question because
Go ahead, Stacy.
we have Connie in finance who could probably clarify this. LAHEAP doesn't pay that funding up front. They break it up in stages, so one stage might only be $3,000, which that LAHEAP coordinator position with that salary with benefits, it average up to more than $45,000 after the benefits are included in that price. So if we move all of this funding from OCA general fund line item, when we bring that coordinator back, it's only gonna be at a part-time status with no benefits, and then we have to consider if we're gonna still be able to service everybody in the parish the amount of days that we were doing before, including pairing up with council and aging going out to the centers. And if I'm correct, right, Connie? The money was coming out of royalty funds to pay the difference of the LAHEAP coordinator salary. It was not coming out of CSBG. That person was listed on the CSBG contract, but however, her salary wasn't coming out of CSBG.
Understood. So the amendment was voted on, it was passed by the council. So at this point in time, the parish president can choose to veto it, or he can choose to find additional funding and do a supplemental down the road. That's really the only 2 ways to vote, because the vote's already taken place.
Right.
But, so I think duly noted. So thank you, Stacy.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, you press your button, Jerry.
That OCA
Press your button, Jerry.
That OCA general account has $58,000 left in there. And if you can't operate a LAHEAP coordinator, which you just said 2 weeks ago that CSBG has nothing to do with LAHEAP, but you want to use CSBG money to pay LAHEAP workers.
No, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
That's the way y'all
we
had
have
it on the council.
$58,000 left in that account.
No,
To 126.
That's the way it was proposed on the agenda, as if that person was LAHEAP/CSBG, which that was her job duties, but she never got paid out of CSBG, which she should have been getting paid out of CSBG, but she wasn't. So my question is, when that LAHEAP coordinator come back for that position to be paid appropriately, that's the only question I have.
We're gonna have to find the funding. That's right.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to work with the administration to see if that funding can be found if it doesn't exist.
If you remember right, they laid off the LAHEAP coordinator, saying they didn't have funds. And I said, the LAHEAP coordinator is getting paid out of the general fund. And y'all said no. And go back in a minute. If Carleen got time tomorrow, you go in a minute. This was said.
You said road sales tax or royalties. We said no, it was out of OCA general funds, and when LAHEAP paid.
I'm kind of engaged in the conversation, but I think we're splitting hairs. The amendment passed, at this point, it has to be vetoed, and if it's overridden, then there's gonna be another funding source. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Okay, that's the question I
Yeah.
had, thank you.
But thank you for pointing that out,
Okay.
Stacy, we appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. You wanna take the gavel back over, Lucy? All right, can I get a motion to return to regular, agenda items? Got a motion by Paraloop, second by Bo Melvin. All right, what we have next? Item K, which is. I close my. Item K, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, and Manager Reports, Presentation or Updates. We have anything from the administration? Negative, nothing from the administration. Item L, questions for the administration.
I have a
Mr. Corey, go ahead.
All right. So, relax, Turbo.
Remember,
About a
you have
month
3 minutes.
ago, I was sent an email from the administrator requesting that I present a budget amendment for the 2% pay raise. And in that request, it entailed just basically moving funds from one line to another. It wasn't the council approving a pay raise. I forwarded that request to Reggie. I hadn't heard anything back on that, and then there was like a morning about a week ago that everyone's hair was on fire trying to figure out what's going on with this budget amendment. I want to know what happened with that budget amendment.
Can we get a response from the administration? Yes, sir, Mr. Brent.
Well, the only thing we know about the budget amendment is that it was never delivered by Mr. Bagala to Ms. Carleen. The way we've addressed the issue is that I discussed this, the options, and the council chair contacted the DA's office and got some legal advice from them. And at this point, it appears that we're going to be in a position where we have to move money between line items in the budget without specific authorization from the council in order to fund the raises, which is something that's allowed in the process. So as long as we stay within the same fund, then we'll be able to move money around. That was one of the things I was talking about earlier when I said we have to be careful about taking money out of certain line items, because if you take the money out, it's not there to move to cover the COLA raise. At this point, we're going to try to make it work like that. You know, as long as there's sufficient money in the line items, then we'll be able to fund the COLA raises.
Okay, and
we can't do the exact calculations until they go through with all the amendments and recalculate that. I would tell you at this point, I think, my best guess is that there will be sufficient funds.
I appreciate that answer. I would like to know who exercised veto power over my request for a budget amendment, because when I sent it to the internal auditor, it should have went into this packet. So does anyone have an answer for me?
Ms. Corleen or Lucy, you want to answer that? No.
I went through all of the items mathematically. I had asked for, from the administration, the formulas on how the figures before this even came to me, how these benefits were derived. I was never given an answer. Mr. Jones asked one, and I replied to you and Nooney. Nooney even responded about everything that I did with it. And it's not, the COLA had never been done that way. The COLAs in the past, the COLAs had always been put through the administration.
So you sent me an email saying that it wasn't going to be included?
No.
Because
I sent an email about what I did.
His
I sent an
actions.
email to you and Councilman Otan.
On what his actions had been.
Yeah.
Right, I understand that portion of it, that you were working it and stuff like that. But I guess my point and my frustration with it is you people are having a conversation about something that I had sponsorship on and it never made the agenda.
No, but my
What
response
happened
went
to
you
it?
and-
Why didn't it make the agenda?
My response went to you and Councilman Otan. I sent you a response. I'll forward it to you again tomorrow.
So basically, you sent me a response stating that it was not going to hit the agenda for...
No, I did not say that. I said that I responded to what I just told you. The numbers they gave were within 2 and 3 and 4 and 5%. They were all, none of the numbers were, that I was given. I wasn't gonna put your name on something, and I wrote that, I'm not gonna put your name on something that I don't feel comfortable with putting your name on and forward it up. what they were doing was just taking the savings from the health benefits and moving it up to salaries, that's all, which can be done through a supplemental. An internal budget amendment is all that needs to be done with.
So basically, a budget amendment wasn't required to do what they were asking
Not at
us
all.
to do?
No, because all they're doing is moving from health benefits up to salaries, that's it. They can do that
Okay.
today, they can do that next December if they want. If they're not within the 5% through what the auditor requires, they can do that in December if they want. This is not budget amendment, it had never been done that way. They did not move, they didn't take money from royalty and move it. They took monies from health and moved it up to salaries. And all those, the figures were within 2%, 3%, 4%. I had no way of figuring out what they were doing other than whatever they figured out, what they were gonna be moving up.
Yeah, it was never clearly, it was left open in the email that was back to us, so I think
Yeah.
it wasn't just left out. I think it was determined that it was gonna be able to
I'm
happen.
not gonna put your name on something that I asked for how is this figured out? I'm not gonna put your name on something like that, Councilman, I'm not gonna do it.
Okay, because I wanted to get to the bottom of it, because I remember that one morning in particular, it was like phone was blowing up from this side and that side and the other. How are we gonna make this work? It's too late. We're beyond the deadline for budget amendments now. So I just want to know if there was a breakdown in communications or anything like that.
Every
and
single
I appreciate it.
every single line could have been moved up to salaries.
Good
That's
enough.
it.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Corey. Councilman Lorraine.
Yeah, I want to ask the parish president, on October 25th at the South Lafourche complex, there was an incident that occurred. I turned in my report. I want to know if it's being investigated, and I want to know who's investigating it, and I want an answer to this council publicly, because I was approached publicly not long ago. Is it being investigated? And I want to know who's doing the investigation, and I want an answer.
Does the administration wish to address that or not?
In fact, I was doing the investigation, and I did in fact call your witness. I got a statement from her. I've read statements and material from Ms. Stacy's side of the story and her witnesses. The Human Resources Director is also involved with it because now there's been a formal grievance filed. I'm sure, Councilman, I'm sure you understand that the administration doesn't really have any authority over you. So, we're in a place where there may or may not be anything in particular we can do, but we're trying to at least investigate.
Well, if you don't do it, I'm going to go somewhere where it's going to get done, because I'm not going to be accused of doing something I didn't do.
Well,
I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell the people of this parish, I did not do what them people said I did. And I have all the witnesses in the world.
So this is not
And
a
if you
court.
did some investigation, you should know.
Do you wish to continue answering questions?
The only thing I'm saying is we're not going to make credibility judgments because that's kind of inappropriate for where we are, but we are trying to find the facts. But this is now an internal matter with regard to personnel grievance, and I think we really ought to refrain from further discussion on it in this particular forum.
Thank you, Brent.
Well, I just don't appreciate of being accused of something I didn't do. Okay, and the only reason why I turned it in to Mr. Abbott, he was the administrator at the time. But I'm not stopping there, I'm telling you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Anyone else have any questions for the administration? Item M, there will be no report from Mr. Bagala tonight, which brings us to item N, discussion. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I'd just like to make the public aware that I am conducting the annual toy drive for District 6 needy children. The drop-off point is at the visitor center on the Highway 90 overpass. So any help and contributions you have will be greatly appreciated. I have some houses of faith that's coordinated to help me distribute the toys. So I think we'll collect until December 20th. So the visitor center on the Highway 90, any help's appreciated.
Good project. Thank you, Corey. Also, I'll mention that the Lockport tree lighting on the bias side will be Friday night. 6:30, the lights will come on, and every kid that shows up will get a gift from Santa. And on the Saturday is the Lockport Christmas Parade, which starts promptly at 5:30. Ms. Lucy.
Sunday is also the City of Thibodaux's Christmas Parade.
And Raceland's.
And
Raceland's tree
is
lighting.
Sunday? Raceland's tree lighting, or?
Raceland's tree lighting is Sunday evening. That's correct. Very good. Anything else? We have a motion for adjournment. Got a motion by Mr. Jerry Jones, second by Mr. Bo Melvin. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Thank you.